How's it going, everyone? As you can see, we're back in Final Fantasy for another episode of No Excuses with your favorite show hosts, Aristotle.
Venerian.
And Willisell, and we're here to bring you the latest poorly thought out spur of the moment opinions on the games industry for the week. Or whatever related content. Yes. All of us are
Yes.
here again for a change. Great, awesome, fantastic. Hopefully it will last and that I won't get called away because all kinds of things are happening. But yeah. We're here to bring you the latest news and games commentary for the weekend. If you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email noexcusesvtw@gmail.com. You can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw. You can join us in the Discord server, which you can access by clicking on the link that will be provided in the show description underneath the show archive on YouTube.
Yes, indeed.
Yay! Get through that really quick.
So, it is the Make It Rain event in Final Fantasy, which means that while running alongside the Moogle Tombstone event, gates give Moogle Tombstones.
Yes.
And they give anywhere from like 4 for fully completing a Leap of Faith to like 10 if you somehow make it to the end of Slices right and you don't get screwed in the shell game.
Yes, but is there any reason to farm them this time? Like, what is the reward? Because that's the issue with Moogle Tombstones is a bit hit or miss. Sometimes it's just like, you know what? I don't care about any of this stuff.
No,
But usually I don't care much about the earrings.
yeah, for me, I already had all the collectibles. Because you can get stuff from gates, none of the crap is going to be worth selling. So what I've been doing is just using this event to try and clean out the build up as much MGP as I can to clean out the remaining big MGP items. Like I've only got one more that costs over $1 million. I've already got the blackjack, the super big one you need, but I've still got a ton of ones around and a little bit over $1 million I need to get. And I've been collecting these stupid, ostensibly special Time Worn maps. I've got like 6 of them sitting in my saddlebag. A potentially special Time Worn map. Which is a map with a guaranteed portal. And so at the end of this, I will have a mountain of treasure maps that can just make portals.
Yeah. The fact that they're giving out guaranteed portals is it's a way to print money basically.
Well, they have them every Tombstone event. You can buy these, and they're always the current ones, and they're always guaranteed portal maps. The problem is, their Tombstones usually aren't this easy to get, and on over to Quarry Mill.
Yeah, let's go.
Delete a save file.
Quarry Mill.
Yeah, there is the mount in there from the was it 3 items you pick up, which sell for quite a lot. Which this would be a good opportunity to go get that mount if you have the poor taste to actually want it, because that mount is hideous.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, Pinky, the giant pink elephant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, so basically, the strat right now is to hold on to all these maps and save them. Give it the next expansion a bit of time to get out and get rolling and get established, and then in about 7.1, just blow all these treasure maps on a weekend.
I've got 2 save slots at 101.
Nuke one. I don't even remember who was playing what in our.
But you're in both of them, so I have to nuke both of them.
Yeah, kill both of them.
Yeah. Just get rid of them both. I don't have any glamours I can wear over my white mage gear.
I'm not wearing a glamour.
Well,
I'm just wearing my Reaper's gear from multiple patches ago because I don't know how to play Reaper at all. I just slapped all the buttons on my bar and then leveled it by doing Praetorium over and over again.
Yeah, I suppose I can wear that. I'm missing the extra sleeve which I put on it, which I really like.
Yeah, I needed to make a glamour for the gold saucer, and so I just.
You did that.
I mean, you've seen what I accomplished this week. I don't have anything to prove in this game anymore.
I feel like this.
I can make it worse.
I feel like I don't need a glamour. I feel like my actual armor is suitably edgy for a Reaper.
Oh yeah, that's Reapery enough.
So I have not explicitly said what I did, but I'll keep dropping hints. I only see my title when I target myself. Let's see.
There. Terrible enough.
Holy crap! That scared the crap out of me.
Oh, the duty pop.
I didn't. Even, yeah, more the duty pop made my controller spaz out.
Oh, it
Oh
actually.
yeah, you do that.
Yeah, they fixed the vibrate on that.
I almost had a heart attack.
Yeah, it used to
I've
do
never
that,
seen
and
it
then
do that before.
it used to do that
Oh,
every time,
why?
and then it stopped, and now it does it again.
I'm more annoyed actually because your character plate actually works with that costume.
Oh wait, hang on.
It is fantastically bad and fantastically wrong.
Hold up, I accidentally sent us in at floor 1 on a muscle memory. Abandon
You
duty.
did.
How do I do it again?
Open the duty finder. Abandon duty.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to remember how to do that. Oh, here we go.
Let's just nuke that save file again.
Kill that one again. And we will have a take 2.
We will try this again. My stupid fat cat umbrella.
Alright. You can literally do whatever the hell you want, and we will be fine, as long as you don't go run through the center of the room, or you don't take bad risks in a donut room.
I'm gonna put controller on
Do less
carpet
dumb.
where it can't startle me.
Right, are your save files all cleaned up?
Yep.
Forget, I never, ever have to push the start at floor 1 button ever again.
No, you don't.
But what about your Astrologian run?
Doesn't matter.
You need to do 1 to 100 Astrologian.
Oh, that portrait. Yeah, I just imported my other Mac portrait.
Let's see. I don't know what any of these buttons are. Let's see. The debuff of some kind. Extends something. Looks like it's an off GCD. No, it's not an off GCD. GCD.
Oh, I need to fix up my buttons because I'm missing a whole bunch. Let's see.
What even is this? Debuff. Okay.
That's the Lily Heal, Holy, there. Region, go there.
Living on the edge, running through them middle of them rooms. We got no palms.
Is there any reason to keep Medica 1 on the bars as well? Or is it the same situation as Cure 1?
Doesn't Medica 1 upgrade automatically when it gets...
No, it does not.
You have Medica 2 that has the hot?
What? One of them has the hot and one of them doesn't. One
Medica
of them
2
is-
has the hot. I think.
For casual cases, you will never need Medica 1. For hardcore cases, there are corner cases for Medica. But you are not a hardcore player. So you can
I am not a hardcore player.
You can probably safely take it off your bar.
There's only red juice.
Okay, you have no blue juice. There's the door.
Okay. Now
For a
my
frog.
buttons figured out.
I don't have my buttons figured out. Okay, so the soul slice just every 30 seconds give you 50 gauge. Is that all it does?
Yep. Get you 50
Right.
red juice.
And I guess it's just, you spend it with Bloodstalk and there's really nothing that follows on from that at this level.
You do not have either of your positionals at this level that follow afterwards.
So what
and
you're saying is that I essentially have 5 skills.
1, 2,
something like
3.
that.
Yeah, you got your 1, 2, 3. Give me 50 juice, spend 50 juice, and put your debuff on the target that makes it so that they take like 10% more.
And the AoE equivalent.
Yeah, that's it.
Fantabulous.
Forget that.
I see.
New control scheme. Don't need to be accidentally. All right. So yes. Why don't we go through y'all's weeks? Eventually, why we are doing Palace and everything that's gone on with Palace this week. We will get to when we get to my week, but I just want to keep teasing it. So we finally get there. So
I mean, it's just as well they can't see our screen, I suppose. Anyway, my week has been, it's been a kind of bit of a work hell march. Folks ended up going away for a bit of a holiday, and so it's been work. Nothing too crazy this week, thankfully, except for everyone getting money at the end of the week. Ugh. Anywho, so yeah. Gaming wise this week, I've been keeping it fairly low key because there hasn't been really anything I've particularly wanted to play too much. I'm still chipping away at Hacker's Memory, but I haven't gotten too far into that game yet. And it's really actually starting to get Champion Digimon in that, so I'm been going that slow on it. So yeah, the story's barely even gotten started. Most of my time has actually been just badassing around in Fallout 4. I ended up sitting down and going through a bunch of steps and downgrading the game so I could actually play it with mods again, because it was a weird experience going back to vanilla, but yeah, there's just mods out there that make the game a lot more playable, a lot more enjoyable, including actually adding good stories in. But by and large, as much as I do pee on Fallout 4, in some cases well deserved because its core story is really bad. It is still a very good game.
Teleporting through space does not avoid landmines.
Oh
no, it does not.
I never been mashing my potion button so hard when you did that.
Okay, where did my health bar
What's
go?
the point of teleportation if you still have to traverse the intervening ground?
You just flash step. You don't actually teleport.
Yeah, it's like that for every teleport to stop you from
even jumpers like that.
Yep.
Even jumpers
Even
like
though
that. Yep.
you physically leap up in the air over the ground and do not come in contact with the ground in any way, and yet
the traps do not care.
Yep.
They have aerial detection capabilities.
And they will still touch you even though you're up in the sky. Oh, you're a frog.
Yep, the rare corner trap.
have been towed.
I'll be fine.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can dispel frog.
You cannot. I'm just stuck for 20 seconds. In timeout. At this floor level, assuming the landmine doesn't blow up on my head, that's not a death sentence. I can kite things as a frog.
Yeah.
But
even if you just get their attention and run away.
Some of us still want Potshard. Or, max potions, I guess.
Yeah. So anywho, thankfully there's actually, in order to downgrade, I should say, Fallout 4, when I did it the first time, I actually had to go through and manually command Steam to download the old patch files and reinstall it. Thankfully now there are auto patches that will do that for you. You can just go and download one of them, set it to run, and it will just downgrade the game. You do not want to mess with Steam console, by the way. It is a headache.
Mm-hmm. Most mod injector style, most games that need to use a mod injector instead of the Steam Workshop, have some kind of functionality like that now. It's just become standard, and you just put a simple console command that's unique to that particular injector. That's all you have to do.
Yep.
The injector does everything else.
Yeah. But before those exist, you need to go through, manually figure out, okay, what is the name of the depot that needs to be downloaded? You go find that, and then you tell it to download. There's no progress bar. It'll just tell you when it's done.
Oh, no. I'm going to lose my Onulus sheep with the Terry Bogard hats.
What? No.
Because the new patch is coming. It'll break. It will be updated.
It'll be fixed. So yeah, but yeah, I've been enjoying that. Just running around with the biggest gun I can possibly find, and just having a good old time. And yeah, it's a reminder of when Bethesda is not being dumb as to what they can actually create. Like, as much time as I've sunk into even Skyrim and Fallout 4 and even Fallout 3, there's still a lot of those games I still haven't seen. There's just so much stuff to find, which is really what was disappointing about Starfield is there is not a whole lot of stuff to find.
I don't know. I think I do periodically go back to Skyrim whenever the mood strikes, but I don't stick to it as long each time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I've really got the will to sift through the player created content to find something of sufficient scope to sink my teeth into.
Yeah.
There's good stuff out there, I know, but there's a lot of stuff that isn't good as well.
There's also a lot of very, very strange stuff.
Yeah, and also for every mod that is able to add world bosses seamlessly or de-Neanderthal all the characters without breaking the game, there are 50 more that break something in some way when you install it.
Yeah, that's just the nature of the beast, though.
Or just add extremely high definition booba.
I mean, yes.
Like, I if it comes packaged in with a de-Neanderthal mod, I will take it.
Usually, a lot of these mods they'll de-Neanderthal the characters, but they go some of them just go way too far the other way. So you end up with like Barbie dolls walking around.
I really
with outrageous booba.
I really don't care if they look like Candy the blow-up doll. Anything is better than Neanderthal.
Yeah.
I mean, I would prefer they didn't. That is definitely on the lower end of options, but it is still better than the Neanderthal Western companies give us.
Yeah, there are mods out there that do strike a good balance and give you actual people.
When I got Monster Hunter on PC, I have no idea how happy I was that I could now install a de-Neanderthal mod.
Oh, you don't like the Manjor?
No.
No. But at least it makes sense in that setting. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, that's largely been my week. I haven't even watched any anime. I've kind of fell off because ended up dropping Delicious in Dungeon because it just was not catching me. I can see why people like it, but yeah.
It does strike me as a little bit normie in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Also, Konosuba 3 is it's still Konosuba, but it's also only coming out one episode at a time. So yeah.
I've got the books, so I'm not in a hurry to watch it.
You are frog.
Still
Good.
has been towed.
That wall sure towed me. Towed me what I was gonna be.
What, you had a sheep puns?
You've
got to be running out of sheep puns.
I have abused that Porthosaurus.
Yes, you have.
Tangent that I won't get to in my week normally, I suppose. Somebody is a crazy person that hates everybody, I found out this week. When they were advertising in the guest book, of course people that hate the world would be in the guest book, that they were going to do a guest book review on YouTube.
Oh, no.
And
oh, no.
This apparently is a thing that happens every week. And
why? That seems a very limited scope for a channel.
It was the guy had like 50 followers. It was not a big dude. However, he convinced the most degenerate individual in the guest book to show up as a guest host. And
but why?
This is how I know mission was accomplished with the Anila puns. Because they were just going through the guest book, reading every post throughout the week. And they got to my Anila puns, and Captain Degenerate was in physical pain after reading them.
Excellent.
So, at this point, mission is accomplished.
Your war crimes have been justified slightly.
Because he was so laughing so hard that his ribs hurt. That's why he was in physical pain.
No, it was clearly a groan and not a laugh. Your boy Escuf.
So yeah, I have not done a whole lot this week. It's been that and just been random watching of random HoloLive clips because I've gone back down the rabbit hole for a little bit.
It's like mindlessly munching candy while you sit at your computer.
It is, and it is about as healthy for you as well.
I don't know, the candy at least that can meet your calorie quota for the day.
Yeah, technically has technical nutritional value.
It does.
Technically, yeah.
It does have a nutritional sticker.
Yes.
Well,
So it's
it is
been
required to by law, so it doesn't have much choice.
yeah. So depending on who the algorithm decide I want to watch the any given time, it's been pure sugar through to pure cancer.
Be careful in here, Fern. It's about to get pretty dicey.
I'm just going to stay over here. Thank you very much. All right, I got to. No, I did take Cure One off my bars. I put it back on my bars because while doing the those fates, the low level fates.
Level sync.
Yeah, but Cure One is a bad button to press unless you have to. So yeah,
In the old days, World of Warcraft and downranking.
Mm-hmm.
ugh.
Even offensive spells could get downranked sometimes if the fight went on long enough.
Yeah,
Downranking Frostbolt was a thing.
a painful thing. So yeah, aside from like that, like I know I'm still fairly not as deep in the rabbit hole as some people are, but yeah, I don't really tend to stray from the HoloLive side of things when it comes to VTubers.
I think HoloLive is generally safer. Like,
Yeah,
if you've looked at the sort of crap that Nietzsche's gotten up to, even over the
Oh.
past couple weeks, like
if you want a dumpster fire and you want drama, you go to Niji Sanji or Kuro Sanji. Because oh boy, it seems like
Also,
every
if
other
you-
day they've done something wrong.
also if you are only interested in hearing stories about things that VTubers are sticking in their hoo-ha,
I am not interested in that. Thank you very much.
because apparently that's the demo.
I will rather sit there and listen to Crony yell at people for carrying on the subway jokes, which apparently people are still doing.
Crony seems to me like I don't watch Crony. Like I don't find her that entertaining, but she seems like I would probably be able to get on with her in real life better than I would get on with the other ones that I do listen to.
Yeah. Crony, I think, is probably a bit too relatable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sitting
think
here trying to wrap my head around Vol getting around with any of them. I think your worst compatibility match would be Bay.
No,
Just
no,
because she's straying.
We have no New Zealanders and Australians are only rivals when there's nobody else in the room.
Yeah. As soon as another nationality enters the room, that's it. We team up.
Oh, so you're like
But Bay, I can watch a little bit of Bay, depending on what she's doing. But other times I just feel like I'm related to you and I can't watch you.
I'm
Why?
My favorite version of Bay to watch is Bay when she's dealing with Bijou.
Oh, yes. Like, I'll sit down and I'll watch. Sometimes I'll watch clips of Fuamoko because they're just cute, and one of them is evil.
Warner's my default to watch.
Fauna, I just like because she presents as so sweet and cute and motherly, but then she does something completely off the rails, and it's great.
I just find her easy to watch because her vocabulary is pitched at the same level as mine, roughly. Like she picks the same sorts of words that I do to describe things most of the time. So there's less sort of like I can be more autistic and still understand what she's saying without
Yep.
having to stop and think. Okay, what would it? How does a normal person say things again?
Yeah. So that's just kind of how it works. At least with when you stick to Hololive, it's fairly low drama. There is the occasional drama, but they tend to keep a lot of that in house.
They've always operated under the sort of like the traditional idol ethos in that it is their business, like the product that they are selling, is to keep the image squeaky clean.
Yes. Despite the idol's best efforts sometimes. But yeah, there's also like they've got enough variety in their talent that just about everyone will find something.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Yes.
I
So
thought
yeah, you
this-
don't. The only things I really dip outside of Hololive for is the occasional Neuro clip, and that's really about it. And I like watching Neuro just more because of the technical aspects of things.
That and sometimes the robot is really funny when it just
When
totally goes off the rails and becomes full robot.
Yeah,
To be
When
totally
so-
honest, I probably watch more bickering between Vidal and Annie clips than I do actual Neuro clips.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
Beetle, I know he didn't set out to be a VTuber, but he's kind of become one in his own right. Which that's been kind of interesting to watch as well.
It's kind of, sort of. It's more like he has gotten roped along with the likes of Annie and his robo daughter.
Yes.
I do not believe any of it was intentional.
Well, I guess their robo daughter.
Yeah.
Both of them. There's Neuro and there's redundant Neuro.
No, I mean like
No,
Annie is also a parent to that creature.
Oh yes. The what have you created type of creation.
And the most realistic thing about Nero is the way she tries to play them off against each other.
Yes. Also, that AI is getting too clever at getting around the filter. So yeah, like, you can just dive into the VTuber rabbit hole and just be entertained. And sometimes that's all I really want is just pure entertainment. Nothing to go with it. Just say silly things and do silly things, and I'll be happy.
I mean, if you don't have any brain left at the end of the day.
It is great for that.
yeah. I have not, aside from the very, very rare occasional neuroclip, I've like stopped following Hololive completely lately. And I'll go through phases like this where I just cut them off.
I don't really feel like I've ever followed them in those words. It's not exactly a daily thing for me to consume that content.
It's more like it's very content that's very easy just to drift in and out of. Like you can just watch a bit of it and then put it down and then come back in a few months and catch up on the clips. Like I can't really sit down and dedicate the time to go through a whole stream. And a lot of those streams, there's a lot of dead time.
Okay, Squeenix, if you're going to make soloing deep dungeons a thing, do not make random rooms have the ability to have this happen.
What have you done?
That are not donut rooms, at least. At least donut rooms telegraph it to us that traps are on the wall.
Oh, I see.
Lol.
But I'm sitting here looking at one that's just like, this is not a donut room. There's plenty of space in this room. You could have programmed for this thing to spawn. And they have set spawn locations in every room type. Why would you stick it right here on the wall? And it's the only flat room that isn't a donut room that has it like this. This and the Stonehenge room.
Yeah, that trap was going to get someone.
Yeah, I kept bumping into him earlier. That's why you kept seeing me running along the walls and turn into a toad.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it for my week. It's just been a very, very low key week.
Also, this is just mean.
Yeah, because there's another one right there.
I bet you can squeeze by. No, you can't squeeze
No.
by. Maybe a Lala can squeeze by that thing.
Correct.
We don't need a silver chest. Let's go.
don't know what it is about this floor set and room type and so many random potential wall traps. At least they're not going to kill.
Maybe the outer boundaries of the room are actually outside the visible walls or something.
Maybe.
It's possible, but yeah, this
'Cause
tile set.
this floor set has always seemed like it was a little bit smaller in area than the other ones to me.
Yeah, it just this tile set in particular has got shoes when it comes to wall traps.
Yeah. So okay, I'm going to leave my week at that because I just kept it chill. Didn't do a whole lot, although I am again looking for more anime to watch. I don't know. There's just not a whole lot in this current season that's jumping out at me.
There are a few
could go
things
back-
I'm interested in, but I haven't sat down other than watching up to the bank heist and the Blue Archive anime. I'm letting them all get
I did
some
watch.
legs.
Yeah, I did watch a little bit of the Blue Archive anime, and the production quality is really nice. At least I had no idea what was going on.
You
Well,
should be
I don't
able
think
to.
anybody really does. It's not really anything that's not explained in the anime is just not explained, period, in the story. Like, you are not going to get any explanation handed to you on a silver platter as to where Kivotos is, why Kivotos is, why do the girls have halos, why are they indestructible, etc., etc. None of that has explanations. All of that is part of the myth arc of the story as a whole, which is nowhere near explained yet.
At this point, it just is.
And it will likely be that way for several more years before they start trip answering a few of them. And I guarantee
Yeah.
you they will just introduce more questions on top of that when they do answer the old questions.
Like, the first major plot arc in the game is basically, it operates like, the reason the plot arc happens is because nobody really understands. Like, there is clearly knowledge that lies outside the visible scope, and there are those people who know just enough of it to become a nuisance, and then when the consequences of that intrudes on the rest of society, well, then you get the crisis that the story is dealing with. But the actual core reasons behind why it is aren't explained.
Right. So yeah, getting around that though, switching off the brain and just watching cute girls shoot things and
Thanks.
Rob Banks, it's fun enough. I do appreciate how much of a train wreck Sensei is when they first find him.
Yeah, he's basically depicted as generally speaking, having a good heart and a passable intellect. Not a great intellect, but a passable one. But basically having no capacity to take care of himself in any meaningful way.
Yeah. So
Like
in the
left to
game,
his own devices, in every circumstance, he will either goof off or forget to eat.
yeah. So yeah. Like in the game, the first time Sensei appears on screen, he's just laying face down in the middle of the desert, half dead.
Gratuitous Sensei cheesecake. The camera shots
Yeah.
do not spare his ass. Like, it's not just
Have
the
a whole
girls
lot
that
of
get
it
that treatment.
afterwards. They didn't need to put quite so much detail into his posterior, but they did. So yeah, it's a fun enough ride. It's cute, it's sugar, and that's about it.
That's what the first arc basically is. It's a very anime story, a very standard type of story because it's the introductory arc.
Right up until the horror sets in.
Well, it doesn't ever really.
Uh-oh.
Trying to get that cure button ready.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever really
Hang on, I got many friends.
You do have many friends. Why?
Told you to get that cure button ready. Treasure room in there. A whole bunch of proximity aggro stuff, and it's also the exit room.
Ah, that explains so many friends then.
I think I got most of it.
Nope, there's still more.
Yeah, no, there's more, but I think that was still most of it. Only like 2 or 3 things left. Yeah.
Wow, the cast delay on Holy there was a bit nuts.
Yeah, while things can get darker, like in chapter F of what you call it, a Blue Archive, the overall story has an underpinning optimism, and that just doesn't that stops it from getting too dour.
Yeah, well, that's generally speaking the way they've decided to do things. Like there are no dark events. The darkness is confined entirely to the main plot. The events are basically they functionally serve as a showcase of this is the life of in Kivotos for the students that you're trying to protect. This is what they should be doing with their youth. Basically goofing off and making fools of themselves as kids do. And when things intrude on that, well, you have to stop. You have to stop it. But yeah, I mean, it does get pretty dark in the latter parts of the first arc. I mean,
Yeah,
they give you a montage of what happened to all of the students that you know and love in Shiroko Tera's timeline. Like the shot of just, Misaki's dead hand dangling out of the bathtub where she's killed herself.
hmm
It's pretty haunting.
That's pretty grim. So yeah,
Oh, there we go. Now we finally got some busted drills.
more drills. Oh, yeah.
Okay, bust I will.
It's just cute for the most part and a bit silly. So I'm not sure if they're going to go or going to run it long enough to actually get to the dark spots, but we'll see.
I don't know. Usually these projects don't get enough money allocated to the animation thing because the animation thing ends up coming out of the marketing budget instead of being a product of its own. But they've done things differently in the past with Blue Archive compared to competitors, and a lot of money got spent on, say, Pinecone's anime.
Yeah, it did. Pinecone's anime got 2 seasons, didn't it?
Yeah, it managed to.
Yeah, 2 incredibly high quality seasons as far as production goes.
Yeah, and it managed to. They didn't retell the first arc exactly. They hit the. They hit
reasonably close.
Well, they hit the high notes from it and made sure the villains were the same, but it's still a totally different story than what's in the game.
Yeah.
Although it's not really clear whether or not that story did take place in the same universe, because conceptually it probably could have.
Mm-hmm. There are shenanigans afoot with the way time works in the Pinecone universe, which I would love to tell you more about. We would probably have some answers on by now if a certain company hadn't killed it. Only the Vangaroon. Oh, poor Vangaroon. I feel bad for the Vangaroons in this floor set. Here's a Vangaroon. Bully him.
Just beat it up.
Apparently not bad enough to not give it a beating. But he just wants to reach out and touch you with his third leg.
Third leg.
Please
forward,
rephrase
you
that.
Put your third leg back. You put your third leg back. You put your third leg back, and he repeats over and over and over. And you can just bully them on the higher floor sets. They are just a free kill.
Well, on the higher floor sets, you kind of need it.
Poor Vangaroons.
Yay, no traps. Yay, middle of the room. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna leave my week at that. Whoa, what you doing?
Right, so this week at work was pretty nightmarish. I didn't have a lot of time for gaming, and it's going to continue like that for the near future because next week I'm being audited.
Yeah,
the government is coming to poke around in my business and make a pain of themselves, as though I don't have enough difficulties in my life. But yeah, that being what it is. So the last week was me getting caught up on the next patch of Penacony. I haven't progressed with any of the corollary material there. I'm meaning to get onto that this weekend if I can, and see what the side events are like. But as of now, I haven't had a chance to do that. What I did do was I made a start on the Sumeru storyline, and I completed the first sort of little arc there in the in Sumeru City. where you get introduced to Nahida and shenanigans. The feel of the whole thing is extremely different to everything so far. It doesn't really even feel like the same game in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it is so radically different.
Like, I actually have the feeling of being told a story, which I
Uh-huh.
didn't before.
Uh-huh.
Before I felt like I was like trying to mine story out of bedrock. Like it's definitely down there,
You gotta keep
but
on digging.
you have got to work to pull out little flecks of it. Now they're just sort of like serving me up a meal on a plate, so I can just sit and eat to my heart's content. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's sort of it's the whole Sumeru story has a very sort of interesting interlock with Penacony. I think doing them back to back was an interesting experience. Because they are both dealing with the same subject but in radically different ways. And in a universe that follows the same fundamental rules as well, so it's sort of interesting to see, well, what can you draw out of one and gain information for speculation in the other type of thing. Yeah, it was quite an enjoyable experience, all told, that little arc. I
So
guess I don't know how much of the story that actually accounts for in
So-
Sumeru, probably about a patch's worth or so.
so you've done the bit that I warned you about with you're about to watch many cutscenes in succession and met with Nita.
I went to bed very late, like very late, because it kept stringing me along. I did as far as sort of Nailu's last dance at the end.
Okay, so you're pretty much done with Act 2 then. Act 3 is a bit shorter than Act 2 in terms of just raw runtime, but there is more physical movement, I think.
Now, frankly, I was fine just running around the city. I don't feel the need to spend huge amounts of time wandering around in the wilderness. Like, exploration is one thing and the story is another thing as far as I'm concerned. Like, that's why I'm perfectly alright with Star Rail, where lots of people fell off the Star Rail train, no pun intended, because they, for some reason, thought that a JRPG would have the same sort of exploration.
Yeah,
And I'm perfectly fine with that not being the case, because there are different games for that. Not every game needs to be Breath of the Wild again. But yeah. So I don't know when I'm going to get back onto that and do the next bit. Hopefully not too long in the future, because I don't want to keep on falling behind in the plot, never catching up, because you know, the power curve is going to keep moving, and I'm not moving at all currently. So, yeah. But yeah, that was definitely an enjoyable story. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go next, and if they maintain the sort of the level of quality that they've got there. There's an awful lot of questions in the Sumeru plot that still aren't resolved, so I hope that they'll get around to addressing them. And yeah. It's sort of I was a little bit taken aback at just how little time you spend outside the city, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But that suited me just fine, because it was already very late at night and I didn't want to have to do any cross-country treks.
Yeah, you'll they seem to have relegated most of the stories in the side areas to side stories, like the Mushroom People and the Genie Quest in the desert.
but why though?
I
Why
straight
is
up
always bombs?
ignored the Mushroom People.
Probably for the best. It just doesn't stop.
I don't feel
Yeah.
the need to open that can of worms just yet. I'll be fine.
Why mushroom people are always a curse.
They're actually
why.
leafy tree people. Just the first one I saw looked like a mushroom, so I called them Mushroom People.
Close enough.
Well, I mean, he calls everything else dogs, and he's not calling them dogs, so I guess that's an improvement. But yeah, so it was enjoyable. Still haven't pulled on any more banners. I'm waiting for a real OP character to augment my roster. Because frankly, my power level is kind of low since I'm using pretty much, apart from Yoimika, I'm using exclusively free launch characters. So
Oh,
the amount of oomph I have compared to a modern team is extraordinarily low.
yeah.
I
But
didn't,
at least
didn't roll on
Trailblazers have
Nouvelette,
carry
so.
some weight.
But well, in the case of Star Rail, Trailblazer seems to be growing by leaps and bounds. Like, in as much as like Destruction Trailblazer was relatively mundane, a workhorse of a character that is just a hose that damage comes out of.
Just bonk. That's it. Just bonk.
Preservation Trailblazer, Fire Trailblazer, was more useful again. Not really on the frontier of preservation characters, but had certain unique capacities to her that other characters couldn't imitate, and so still had lots of corner case uses, and is actually a really good bruiser type character if you need a character that can do damage but is also like disproportionately tough for a damage dealer. You can build her like that. But Imaginary Trailblazer, Harmony Trailblazer, is a total different kettle of fish. Like, she enables a whole bunch of different builds and teams that didn't exist before, and you can do pretty outrageous amounts of damage if you play into her strengths. Like, it's entirely reasonable to run a hyper carry with double harmony and a sustain, just all exploiting break. Like, go Harmony Trailblazer, Ruan Mei, Shui, and some sustain like Gallagher or Bushwin or someone, and you can do an awful lot of damage. In some cases, even element agnostic damage in a team like that. And you can build a lot of these teams for relatively inexpensive. Like, you could go with just everybody has Harmony Trailblazer, and you can build pretty strong teams with just the free characters, given the amount of power that Harmony Trailblazer can bring to the table. So yeah, quite an important addition to the roster compared to, say, Hydro Traveler,
Pew
who is
pew pew pew.
Pew pew.
kind of the opposite of important gameplay
Pew.
wise.
Pew pew pew.
So
Look, there's another one of those traps too.
oh
Right.
dear.
I have to go inspect the room tests while y'all continue.
This run is actually telling us that sticking to the edge of the room is a lie.
Yes,
on.
we should be running through the center like real men.
I got an idea.
Yes.
There we go. Oh, you pulled the Dippy out of range because you got aggro.
Not my fault. I've only got a couple buttons to press.
Poor Dippy. I was gonna blow him up, and it was gonna be humane death, where his blood and guts would be all over the walls. Nope.
That's
Nope.
humane, is it?
Had to go send him to the scythe machine.
Not my fault. I only have one button to press, and it's Scythe Machine.
Poor Dippy.
You can have my button. It's rock.
So yeah, most of my general playtime in Star Rail has been prepping for my attempt to pull Fushwin when the next banner's up, which means farming an awful lot of trace materials, basically, to ensure that I can power her up in a timely fashion and not end up sitting on her the way I'm sitting on Robin. Like, I pulled Robin just because. Probably wasn't wise to pull Robin since I didn't have any intention of actually using her in the short term. She is an extremely good general purpose harmony character, though. Sort of like Bronya is, in the sense that you can jam her in most teams. I have Ruan Mei for that purpose, but you know, it's a MiHoYo game, so you really want to build two teams if at all possible to participate in most of the content. So I kind of need a generic when I have to build a team that is not just the Acheron team, like the pure Nihility Hopefully you can burst everything down before you disintegrate team, which is what I use for a lot of purposes. And Robin will help with that, but I just don't have the resources to build her right now because my major issue is the lack of preservation units that I currently have. Because all I've really got going for me right now is, in preservation terms, is Jeopard, and he's incredibly mediocre as a preservation unit. In terms of raw toughness that he brings to a team, he's better than Fire Trailblazer, although has less utility in certain ways. But he's only serviceable, and if you don't spend a lot of time farming up speed gear for him, oftentimes he just has turns too slowly to actually keep your dudes alive because his shield is on his ult. And if you can't ult often enough, you will eventually just die. The amount of incoming damage in Star Rail against bosses tends to be extremely spiky. Like, I attempted to do a Kafka boss fight repeatedly yesterday and just got wrecked every time because if by chance, when rolling the dice, all of the characters just decided to dogpile one of my characters, that character would just die, and there wasn't really anything I could do about it. The only solution to that is to use characters that are able to build up quite a bit of mitigation in whichever is their particular approach, like Aventurine or Fushuin, where Fushuin basically spreads damage around. Like, she can basically take a large portion of incoming damage to any character against her toughness, her HP pool, rather than their own. So damage basically gets spread out more and you can draw the battle out, whereas Aventurine just has the ability to stack shields. Provided you can keep feeding him skill points, he can keep just stacking shields up. So those are capacities that you only really find on limited preservation characters. Like, the default ones just don't have that amount of raw power. The free-to-play preservation category is probably the category that is suffering the most from paucity of options right now, because essentially everybody wants to move towards a solo sustain team if possible, but Fire Trailblazer simply cannot solo sustain, which leaves you with March 7th. And March 7th can do work, but you need to build her quite carefully in order to prevent her just sort of falling too hard into one archetype that's not very helpful. Being that she's free and you tend to get a lot of copies of her, like I have her at Eidolon 7, 6, E6. I have her at E6. I think it's 6, right? I think it's 6. And you tend to get there quite easily, and I've rolled heaps others besides her as well because I keep pulling 7th for some reason. And she even gains the ability to do healing when she's at E6, so you can go quite far with her as a solo sustain. But generally speaking, free options for solo sustains are a bit limited. Preservation especially, like if you tend toward the preservation approach, you're pretty much stuck with March 7th or Harmony Trailblazer. Or Preservation Trailblazer unless you pull Jeopard. On the Abundance side, you have more options. Like Gallagher's a really effective sustainer, provided that you don't ever intend to use auto battle. Like, I've never tried using the auto battle AI, but apparently the AI for it is incredibly thick. Like the regular auto battle AI is okay. Like, there are lots of people who are auto battle only and can still clear the in-game content by very careful team building. Right. Apparently it just doesn't work with Gallagher. Like, Gallagher's incredibly powerful when played manually and just incredibly retarded when played automatically. Not really sure why. But yeah, so I would recommend, if anybody wants to play it as using free-to-play sustains, I would recommend probably Lynx and Gallagher are the best options there. Lynx you will get for free, if I think that it's one of the characters. You unlock quite a few characters for free over the course of the game, and I would recommend probably of the free characters that you're guaranteed to get, Lynx is probably the best and most capable of solo sustain. Gallagher's also very good and will work very well if it's to your advantage to apply debuffs, because there are lots of builds that depend on applying debuffs, since that's the route by which he acquires a lot of his healing. Natasha is definitely the weaker of the bunch. You will definitely get Natasha because you get her for free in the story, but she's just an inflexible healer, very inflexible. She can definitely do the job, but she would, unless you've built her very extensively, she will tend to get outpaced by damage because she's so systematic. Like she essentially, outside of casting her ult, she can't heal outside her own turn by any means, really, except for if she already has in the past and has put a hot on somebody. Like she's just inflexible, and a lot of bosses simply move too fast for her to be effective.
Somebody
So you
just
can't.
oh okay.
We just accidentally the accursed horde.
Hey, you discover a piece of the accursed horde.
Completely by accident.
But you're missing one very important thing about Natasha. Is a teddy bear.
The teddy bear. I'm pretty sure that there are two other important things that people are mostly looking at in Natasha's case.
I honestly could not tell you the size of her assets because I am thoroughly distracted by the teddy bear. The only thing I remember is her ult. She throws a teddy bear up and it goes boom. That's the only thing about her.
I suppose part of the reason that I notice it is that Natasha, like I've managed to confirm it now by watching the story. Natasha also appears in Honkai Impact 3rd, but she has very different sized assets in that universe. Like
She's a
I
bit
don't
more
know, maybe her nutrition wasn't as good in Honkai 3rd or something. I don't know.
I see, or maybe the teddy bear is aiding her in some way.
The teddy bear may have something to do with it, although I'm not quite sure how. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Dariel's moving along, Genshin's moving along. I haven't played the new multiplayer event in Genshin yet. I've been meaning to, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Apparently, it's sort of like a hide and seeky thing, and I've seen wildly diverging opinions on it. Some people are saying, "Oh, well, this is great fun. I'm really enjoying playing this game mode," and other people have said, "This is horrible. I hate having to play with other people, and my teammates are always retards."
Yeah. Oh, that's every multiplayer game though, isn't it?
Pretty
yeah,
much.
but different multiplayer games have different ways of buffering the effects of that.
But
So
I think
to
this is
greater or lesser success.
Is this like the prop hunt hide and seek type? That
I don't know.
yeah, because they've
'Cause
done that
I'm-
before.
Apparently, this one's subtly different to the last time they did it. I've seen people saying that. I didn't play whatever the last one was, so I have no idea what the game mode is like at all. But people are saying that this one is a little bit different. So yeah, I haven't touched it yet. I'll get around to it. There's Primogems after all.
Anzu!
What?
I
Just
have
control yourself. Control
have-
your heart rate, Ari.
I have Anzu SD. Anzu stress disorder. I see Anzu, it must die. Unless we're on the floor 170s, then I have to play like, a 5-year-old girl with my tail between my legs.
Run away!
Yeah. Blue Archive this week, I got around to reading through part 1 of the new story set in Yakiako Allied Academy. So this has the distinct feel where the second chapter of Rabbits was very much exists to finish the Rabbit story, or at least finish that particular chapter of the Rabbit story. There's still more that you could do with it, but it's sort of a different plot arc, really. It's more about Kivoto's political inside baseball than it is about the myth arc. And so it's its own kind of thing. But the Hyakiako first chapter, well, the first part of the first chapter, because they usually release them in like 2 or 3 chunks, it feels a lot like in a different kind of foreclosure task force. Like, this feels like we've made kind of a clean break with the previous story to a certain extent, and now we're going to pick up like these two plot threads that were left dangling on purpose, and we're going to follow those into a new plot arc. So it takes place in Hyakuako, that is explicitly recovering from the effects of Chapter F. So everybody basically at this particular point in time, Sensei spends most of his time in his office reviewing and approving requests for repair funding for the city, because the place is a shambles after Chapter F. And Hyakuako is one of these places, and basically anytime Nia asks for a favor, there are shenanigans afoot. Like, I don't know why Sensei always blindly trusts that Nia has good intentions. I mean, she usually turns out to have good intentions in the end, but her way of going about them is always incredibly twisted and never obvious.
I popped to safety, by the way. Ari, you can just run through.
That's how you build bad habits.
It is.
So yeah, basically, Nia asks for a favor. You don't just say yes. Sensei, of course, always says yes, because you can't turn down a student in need, and he usually regrets it. But it usually turns out for the best in the end. Like, I get the impression that Nia's a broadly benevolent. It's sort of like, fundamentally, she serves the purpose of student council president for Hyakuako, even though Hyakuako doesn't really have one. As she's the head of the Yin Yang Club, which is basically the club that does most of the administration in Hyakuako. But she is, while I think she's generally benevolent, she has an unbelievably Machiavellian way of getting her way. It's never straightforward, and she is never like outright honest about what she's trying to accomplish. She will always attempt to deceive people into doing what she wants. It's always for the good, and it's not just some sort of idealistic greater good. It's actually, she seems to care about her constituents, but she is never straightforward about it. And so she basically kicks off a chain of events. But what is being carried forward from Chapter F are primarily the world state, that is to say, in ruins, and basically the plot thread of nobody knows where Kuzunoha is, the great prophet of Hyakuroyan, and Sensei met her in a dream in the world of dreams, much like Seiya did, and he's looking for her because allegedly she knows something about the chroma, what it does to people, and if it can be reversed, which is basically the only thing that would stop Shiroko Tera from being such a gloomy Gus. But yeah, so that's the main plot thread that's being followed, and the plot basically follows the trials and tribulations of one Yukari, who is a first year member of the Hyakuryoyan, which is the sort of the equivalent of the Justice Task Force for Hyakuako Academy, except that they've been disbanded because they were headless without leadership during the Chapter F crisis. They basically ran about like headless chickens, accomplishing nothing. And when it turned out at the end that it didn't seem to matter, that they didn't manage to accomplish anything, they had experienced a collapse in morale, feeling that they were irrelevant and disintegrated. And Yukari's hell-bent on bringing them back because she thinks it's the coolest thing ever, and is not willing to face the fact that they've disbanded. So basically the first part of the first chapter is about her attempts to try and find some loophole in the rules at Hyakuako that will allow her to bring it back. And yeah, she's a reasonably endearing character. Like, she's in some ways she's shamelessly arrogant, but in a way that has absolutely no malice or ill feeling to it. She just thinks that she's an elite, and that's fine. And she's she works very hard, and she's quite skilled. She's just not quite as elite as she
That's
thinks she is.
Snowclops conga line right there. Is what that is.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, they just
It'll be fine.
they just keep
Be
coming.
fine. Be fine.
But yeah, I decided to pull for her on the gacha. She's not a limited character, but I really liked her, so I decided to pull her. The gacha was not kind to me.
Is
all.
it
I pulled her on the 200th pull.
ever?
200 is the pity line.
200 is the. Oh, that is nuts.
You see, it's not pity, it's a spark. So there is technically no pity, there's a spark system. So I got her at 200, so I had 200 points to spend on a spark. And I pulled her on the 200th pull. And it's a single character banner. So the only thing I could do with the 200 spark points was to pull another Yukari. Because there was nothing else to spend it on.
So
Can you sit on spark points, or do they have to be spent within a certain time?
within that
It can
banner
only be spent
duration.
on the banner.
Yeah, okay.
Normally it's like it's if you pull on the 200th, it's sort of a consolation prize because usually there's two banners at a time, and so you can get the other character as well. But
Yep.
no, it was only Yukari on this banner, so I've got 4-star Yukari now, I guess. I guess it's not bad. Yukari's not a great character, but she's not a bad character either. She's sonic damage, so she will be relevant when the next raid boss, the Sonic type one, comes out. Though she won't be incredible because she's just middle of the road as Sonic characters go. Like the champion Sonic character was and probably always will be Swimsuit Hanako.
Good old Turbo Thought.
Good old Turbo Thought. But yeah, she's reasonably solid, and I think I like her more than I like Hanako. I think I'm not a huge fan of the Turbo Thought the way Ara Steel is.
I do like our resident Turbo Thought. She is a fun character.
But yeah, there are some major meta characters coming out shortly. Like you could argue Renge is also a better Sonic character than Yukari, and she's coming out soon. And the Nikomata girl, I can't remember her name offhand, is the best Sonic support in the game still, and she's coming out shortly as well. So I'll probably pull for her just to make sure that I can stay on top of the meta. Well, it's not that I'm trying to be competitive, it's just that staying on top of the meta just makes things easier for you, generally speaking, especially since I know there's a Sonic raid boss coming out and I don't want to get wrecked. Yeah. But yeah, the story is it felt very much like Foreclosure Task Force 1 in the sense that you're being reintroduced to a lot of things and you aren't dealing with a lot of sort of dangling plot threads. However, we are sort of pretty in deep at the moment. So the way the story is introduced, it has quite a bit of assumed knowledge. A lot of things won't make a lot of sense without having played a number of the events, and that's fine, I guess, because most of them are being added to the archive at this point, so they're still playable. But like, it is sort of expected that you know the Ninjutsu Research Club, and you know the Festival Operations Committee, and you know the Interdiscipline Club. Like, you're familiar with these individuals from these clubs. And most of them are either that you'll learn about them during either events or the sort of the mini stories that unlock as a result of pulling enough characters from that club. So yeah, so they don't assume any deep knowledge, but you will end up getting bushwhacked by a lot of unfamiliar characters if you were to just leap directly into that story. But yeah, I mean, this particular story hasn't gone very far anywhere yet. Basically, it's dangled a few plot threads, but it's not very clear where they're going with it yet. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the next set of chapters to come out. I don't know when exactly that's scheduled though. Hopefully, it's not too far away because I'm sort of frustrated at how little they gave enough of story to sort of whet your appetite, but not enough to feed you. So I'm a bit frustrated right now. So I probably can't recommend leaping headfirst into this new chapter.
Somebody grab that rage.
I would probably. Oh, great.
Yep.
Or I would if I knew where rage was on the. Here we go. Oh, I accidentally clicked rage on the list, so we wasted a rage.
Oh, okay.
Oh well.
I meant grab it out of
Extra
the
method
chest.
for fun.
I
It'll
know
be-
you mean grab it out of the chest. It's just I accidentally clicked on it when I was looking for it.
Oh, well, at least go the other direction.
I don't know which direction you went.
This way.
Oh. Oh well.
Hardly matters. It's not like we're at floor 180.
No, it's just for making getting through later ones a bit faster, but it's okay. I'll leave Fern on chess goblin duty.
Yeah, I might as well pop that intuition, I suppose. There's a lot of chests here to sort. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother with the lust though. Okay, and we're coming.
Right. Is there anything else? I don't really feel like it is. I absolutely hated this week's joint firing drill quest in Blue Archive. It's awful. I hate it. I never want to see it ever again.
I
It's
stopped
like
doing
escort
those
quest.
even when I was actively playing. Like I just stopped. I don't
Yeah,
like 'em.
they are. It's easily my least favorite game mode. There are some people that really love it, but as far as I can tell, it's basically only content for people that have like a gajillion characters built. Like there are not enough clipboards in the world for that. There've been like 2 ever that I was able to even do passably, and all the rest of them I get wrecked. And this one, you can't even get through it by building up your characters better because it's an escort. And the rules, the biggest problem with the game mode is that there are usually heaps of hidden rules that just are not clarified or explained very poorly. And so you're pretty much obliged to wait until you're several days deep in the event and then find an instructional video online just to understand how the mechanics work. Really, I don't know why it sticks out like a sore thumb for being so badly documented. But yeah, I don't think I've got much else for the week that I can think of.
All right. That's fine. I think it's been a fairly blunt week for all of us.
I don't
Well,
want to
Well,
think about next week.
I already
I don't
did
want to be
things.
audited.
Ari did a singular thing, and like usual, autistically mono-devoted my entire week to it. So the week I get some free time, I devote it to one task the entire way through. So yeah. If y'all are done with your weeks, I guess we can jump into mine, since mine will lead into the only bit of news I posted in the board.
Do it.
All right. So.
Yep.
You may have noticed. If you're in the Discord, you already know. So you can join our Discord and talk to the show host there. You can get previews, and you would see me freaking out in real time when it happened. It was right before work at 8 o'clock in the morning. I stayed up all night for the final push and hated my day the entire work day afterwards. But it's done. The major pre-Dawn Trail goal I had set for myself, and it's part of the reason we're in here now. The other reason is also the Moogle Tomestone challenge for this session. Get the free 50 tomes. You gotta beat floor 100. I finally, after 2.5 years of on-off practice, beat Palace of the Dead solo and got the Necromancer.
Yeah.
it took a very long time to both learn Deep Dungeon thoroughly enough to be able to do it, because I'm not a person that plays this game at the highest level consistently. Outside of Deep Dungeon and the Baja duels, I really don't participate in it. And the only reason I do it on those is because they're solo, and I don't have to worry about dragging anybody else down, and I can do it as autistic. Basically what that means. But, the Necromancer title is still a pretty prestigious title to just have. It's something not a lot of people got the patience to do, or the autism to do.
Time, skill, and autism.
Yeah, like there is no sugarcoating this. While it does probably demonstrate that person is an incredibly patient person if they got it equipped, they're also a little touched in the head.
Yeah. 200 floors of this solo
By yourself.
by
And-
yourself.
And wait till you hear how I did it, because I had a strat, and this involved
All right.
doubling my workload.
Oh dear.
Because I ran 2 save files side by side,
So you did it twice.
and one of them crashed and burned at floor 194.
Oof.
The other one made it all the way to the end. Right. So this asshole used to be my roadblock on the floor 180 version of him. The floor 80 version is just whatever. I don't care about floor 80 behemoth. And this guy will start off as everybody's roadblock at floor 180 because every class has a way they got to deal with him. And it's always something special. Go trounce, my dude. No, you're a thunderbolt. Trounce now. You're doing it from the top or bottom.
Should be ready to trounce.
Come on, behemoth. There you go. Oh, you don't do it from top and bottom. You do it from left and right at floor 80. You jerk. The bomb boss on 90 and 190 is even worse. The bombs you have to kill and the bombs that you have to knock into the boss are inverted in color between the 90 and 190 version.
There is someone who is truly evil at Square Enix.
Yeah. Because that's just mean. Oh, that should go. Okay. And because that Ecliptic Meteor at 180 starts at 15% on the dot. So as soon as he passes 15.1, he will begin spamming it, and it is a 8-second cast, and it does 90% of your total HP every time he casts it.
Oof.
So on Machinist, what this means is you have 8 times 3 seconds to kill this boss after you get him to 15%. In fact, for every DPS other than Red Mage, that's exactly what that means. And I was doing it on Red Mage because it's the safest, basically. Because you can beat the boss by just keeping Sustaining Potion going, Vercure, and one of the 2 big Verse spells. Either Thunder or Arrow. And just do this on loop forever, and Behemoth will eventually fall over as long as you Lucid Dreaming on cooldown. Machinist takes a lot more setup. A lot more setup. You have to very slowly get him down to about 19% HP. And then you have to be sure that you got him down fast enough that you still have at least a minute and a half left on Strength and Steel. And then you've got to get him to just after this first Trounce number 1. Because he alternates between 2 different phases. Trounce Phase 1 and Trounce Phase 2. The specifics aren't important. The important part here is that after Trounce Phase 2, he's going to cast 2 Charybdises back-to-back that's going to buy you some time. And while he's making his way from Trounce Phase 1 through his cycle of abilities, you've got to dodge those abilities and put 5 less stacks on the boss. And then you've got to phase transition him at the end of the cast of the very first Charybdis, because he'll be hard locked into doing the second Charybdis afterwards. And then you have to not screw up a DPS rotation at all for optimal damage. And you have to, during your second run through of that rotation, weave in Second Wind and Hyper Potion, all while making sure your Sustaining Potion doesn't drop without losing any DPS. This is a if by the time you get this deep consistently in Deep Dungeon, doing the Machinist rotation optimally is not difficult. But doing it when you're at floor 180 with your heart rate through the roof, with all kinds of extra bells and whistles on it, that's a bit daunting. But eventually that too became rote. And then we had the next big wall point. The 180s. I have a chart.
It's bad when you need a chart.
I made a chart just to emphasize. The question is, where did I put the chart? There's the chart. That is what happens when you get to floor 186. You will notice nothing is safe to pull. Your safest thing to pull is the Chimera. And this is the reason you autistically stock up on every type of palm you can, is because any floor from floor 186 to 189 can just end your run. There is stuff there where it is such a risk to pull it, you legitimately have about a 50% chance of just outright dying. And you need Serenities and Rages to get through it. Because if you don't get enough Chimera Patrols and enough bad luck and get Mimics out of chests, you're not getting through there without popping both Strength and Steel and trying your luck at one of the... you just can't pull a Flood Dragon. That's not happening. I don't care what class you are. Unless your name's Angelus Demoness, you're not killing that thing. Like, he is literally the only person that managed to squeak by with the Strength, Steel, and a Haste buff on the floor. And he squeaked by. Killing a single one. And I'm pretty sure he high-rolled crits, because it was dang close. And he did that in his Machinist pull one of everything run. So those are just, you don't pull these. They're site aggro at least. They're not proximity like the dragons on the 190s, so you can just wait for them to go turn and face a wall. Until you eventually find out you gotta burn your rage anyway, because the exit room is just full of them. And there is no reasonable way you can waste all the time it's gonna take to, okay. Well, when I tell you to, open that chest.
Do they still go at least down with one?
I'll
or
open
two
the
whacks
chest.
of rage?
Okay. So what? Yes, they do die to a whack of a rage. However, rages become fairly rare, and I can confirm through trial and error now that the palm appearance rates, varying based on floor set, is 100% a thing. Also, please give me some pots, because I got landmine while I was a Manticore.
Yeah. Oh, got to get through the loading screen.
A fake loading screen.
The fake loading screen.
Manticore don't.
It's always the same length, isn't it? Or it's got a minimum length.
Yeah, it's got a minimum of 5 seconds. You're going to be stuck on the loading screen. The fake loading screen, so that it can place the tile set.
What's with all the witchings? Or is that a silly question?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the palm distribution's like on.
That's convenient.
Oh, you found another one?
Yeah, that's right next to the exit too.
Oh, cool. I'll just grab the site out of the chest after I use it.
Need to find something else to bop.
And we'll save it for when we leave the floor. So yeah, now you'll notice the rage strat I use with these two whenever we're doing these to try and save some time. You can't do that solo. Because you can't open the gold chest as a Manticore.
No.
So what this means is any rages you use on a floor, you have two choices. You can try and kill everything on the floor and maybe pop a fortune to see if you can fish some palms back. or you can just roll it into the next floor if you've got enough time on it, but you're going to lose about 10 seconds through the loading screen and the portal needing to turn on. Another rage. So rages are incredibly valuable, and on both of my save files, when I got to the floor 190 boss, which was my old wall point before this these two machinist runs, I killed him on both of them this time. But the floor 190 boss is just a big oof of a boss. He's just really tough, just because he hits so dang hard.
Yeah, this is a rage here too. Okay, so once Fall gets back over here.
Oh, I think we left him.
You left me by the rage thing, and you didn't give me time to move to the new rage one.
Oh, Fern opened the rage chest as soon as I popped this rage.
Yeah, to the old rage one.
Oh, yeah. There were 2 rage chests.
Yeah.
I didn't figure this out until I got to the exit room either. We'll be fine. But yeah, the old thing that was blocking me was the floor 190 boss, who just simply put hits like a tanker truck, and finding ways to offset that damage, Red Mage or no, is really tough. And I actually found it easier to offset his damage on Mech than Red Mage. Yeah, you don't got for a cure, but you also don't need to stop moving for anything.
Nope,
And
you can move always.
Sometimes just running with your tail between your legs is the way to save damage. This is a rather effective means of survival, actually. And in later Palace, it absolutely matters. If you need to pull something that has like a 3 or a 4 on Mages, do not pull this list out of 5. There are ways you can do it with at least strength or steel, sprint, leg raise, and bind up, and a donut room to kite in. But it takes a bit of practice, and I don't know how PC players do it, to be honest. Or when I say PC players, I mean keyboard and mouse players. Because the ease of kiting with control sticks and being able to claw grip is so handy. Because I just feel like I have quick access to every button.
There you go, Strongs.
Yep. So, yeah, you can just run away from that boss. And you can even cut him down to 4 minutes, as I successfully did on my second attempt, significantly making the fight way easier. Because, what you can do with that boss is there is no floor 199 boss. Like there is nothing at the end of Palace. It's just a long hallway, and you touch the fire crest with the glass pumpkin at the end to hit the buzzer. So what this means is you can blow all your lusts on the Godfather, and as long as you wait for a time when he's in his rotation, when he's spamming saps, you can do it pretty safely without getting your face chewed off. But he is a boss that hits like a tanker truck, is scaled to large size like most bosses are. And what this means is he has a 1.5 times damage multiplier. He has boss damage. So he has a multiplier there. And he's a double auto attacker.
Of course he is.
Just in case all the rest of it wasn't clear. And if you are playing Machinist, I will give you a handy tip. Out loud, with your mouth, while you're doing this fight, anytime it's almost red bomb phase, you need to repeat to yourself like the mantra of a crazy person, no ricochet, no ricochet, no ricochet, no ricochet, no ricochet. Because if you push that button in red phase, you will screw the boss up, and you will wipe.
The times I get into trouble with Machinists, it is almost always ricochet.
Yeah, just if you have to sit there and say it to yourself out loud over and over again, do it on that boss. We're about to see the baby version of the boss where it really doesn't matter, especially because we got a healer. But do not push the AoE buttons on this boss for any reason. On that phase. So yeah. But I did get him down on both save files, and this is where I had a break point where I felt just way more confident and better. And I mentioned a little bit of this last week when I said I was going to do my next couple of attempts on Machinist instead of Red Mage. Everybody will tell you to do Palace on Red Mage or Machinist if you're a super hardcore in-game player. I'm going to pop that bubble a little bit. They're not wrong in that if you play at a higher level, you are more likely to understand movement better, is what I think they actually mean. Because getting through on Machinist does require a better understanding of kiting mob and player movement. And Red Mage does have a safety net of Vercure, but the Vercure safety net really only applies up to 170s, and those aren't the problem floors once you've got enough practice. The problem floors are the 180s and 190s. That's what's going to stop you from getting the win. And in that case, I think Machinist is just better. Almost everything there's enough enemies on each of those floor sets that can be bound. Like this Flame Dragon, I tried to slow it. It's just going to say fully resisted and not let me. But it's a dragon. So it's a big-bodied enemy that you usually can't bind those. But you can find at least something on all the floor sets, or you can slow it. So this means that if you're waiting on somebody to steal ball, there was 2 steals, so you can use one. Oh, what was I saying with that before I got distracted by steals and dragons? You will, since you're able to bind most things, like even this big worm, it's a medium body style enemy, but I can still bind it, so I can kite it. And if I can kite it, I can kill it with strength on. And pretty much anything that can be bound, you can kill with strength on, because you can, with sprint, bind, and slow, have enough time, regardless of its HP, to drop it before it can touch you once. So even things that have a lethal dot, like the wolves on the 160s, or the frost drakes, well, you can't bind the frost drakes, so it doesn't matter. It's a moot point with them. Or even the crawlers, the 4 out of 4 danger, super slow and poison dot of death mob on the 180s. If you absolutely have to pull one, if you have a strength active, sprint up, bind, and slow up, you can kill it. It is just going to be incredibly tight, and that last shot is going to come when it's right on your butt about to shoot you. The crawlers look like this thing, by the way. They're normally sound aggro, so they're not a problem, but sometimes you just don't have any options on them. And that's a real big part of where the casino RNG aspect of Palace of the Dead comes in, and what's going to test your patience the hardest is you can just get screwed. There are just enough mobs, like these flame dragons you're seeing us casually pull willy-nilly on this 80s floor set. They become flood dragons in the 180s, and you just can't fight those. If they're in a room, that wherever they're looking is just a no-no zone. So there's just stuff like that all over the place that is just like, you can't fight this without steel. You really shouldn't fight this without steel unless you're got enough room to kite it literally as long as it takes. And do not fight this, period. And if you do not have enough steels, or you have too many rooms full of do not fight this, and you have to blow your rages early, and this is the worst in 186 to 189, you just lose the run. And there's nothing you can do about that. You cannot play better in this case. You will run out of time if you try to wait on respawns. You will run out of time if you try to wait on cooldowns to do proper kiting. You lose. Bad RNG can screw you in Palace. It is the one of these that is the most set up to screw you. Now, the good news is, after you punch through Godfather and his stupid double auto attacking and no ricochets, the 190s are not anywhere close to as bad as the late 180s. They are mostly filled with undead mobs, especially after the first 3 floors. So you save your resolutions for there, and you just hope you don't get no items, and you have enough serenities to deal with the no items that you do get, because no items is a death sentence on this floor, which is
No joy.
the only other point of failure, which is you cannot do them without sustaining potions. It's just it will not happen. There's like one mob you can pull without a sustaining potion on any DPS class.
They just hit that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything in there just does too much damage. You will not outlast it before it can kill you. So it is just hoping you got enough resources to blow through the last few floors, and I got a screenshot of my timers for these floors just to emphasize this point. Because I got screwed on my run going through here for the first 4 or 5 floors. It was bad, and you can see on my little timer tracker there, the first floor took 12 minutes. This was not me going AFK. This was just I did not have any palms rolling yet, and everything hit like a tanker truck. But I managed to make it to the later sets that good old 9 minutes and 10 seconds was like a gloom damage down monstrosity floor that I just fought through because I knew I absolutely needed to keep my serenities for the last 3 floors in case of no items, and I wound up using both of them on 2 no item floors in the last 3 floors with enemies. And the reason you need to do that is, guess what you can't use if you've got no items? Your good old Palms of Resolution you've been saving up. So it makes you have to fight through some really, really tough floors doing that. It's just a colossal pain in the keister. But if you can do all that, and you just don't get screwed, and that's a lot of points of failure, some of which are outside of your control. Some of it you can just play better to get a better shot, but there are still plenty of points where you can just lose and it's not your fault. If you can deal with that, and just put up with it, and deal with the RNG, if you can, and you can just get really good at mastering movement, clearing Palace on Machinist is totally 100% doable. It is, in terms of raw execution, not that bad. Do you want me to turn to a Manticore? Hang on.
There you go.
The real challenge is learning the bosses when it takes so long to get each attempt to them, specifically your rotation on Behemoth, and keeping your nerves in check because you're so deep while you're doing it, and Godfather. Because Godfather just hits like a tanker truck, and you have to kite him the entire time if you're on Machinist, otherwise he will just hit you too many times and you will die.
Oh, get squished. So yeah.
Yeah.
It is a challenge I've considered doing before, and then I just look at what's involved, and it's like, I don't have the drive for this.
It is less, while people consider it a more prestigious title, I feel like Once and Future Queen actually means more in terms of player performance than Necromancer, because Necromancer shows patience, but it does not show ability. Like, anybody can do Necromancer with enough patience. All you've got to do is just keep ramming your face into it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time and a good bit of RNG.
Yeah. Well, the RNG isn't even that bad in what you need. The problem is it takes so long to figure out if you won or lost. Because we're talking like, if you run 2 save files like I did, you're looking at 16 hours of gameplay to get both of those save files up to the 170s where you're going to figure out if your RNG won or lost through the run.
Yeah.
And when you're progressing, if you do decide to have a bit of madness and do this, I do recommend the 2 save file strat. And the reason is simple. Do it on the same class for both save files. That way, when you get to a floor, if you lose on a floor, and it was not RNG that killed you, or you died because of bad awareness, and a combination of bad awareness and bad RNG, you can load the next save file up and just play better. And it gives you an opportunity to go in with a better understanding of the amount of damage you're looking at from the enemies, and just adjust for whatever killed you the first time. This is what I did, and it made the 190s go from a loss to a win, because I had not done the 190s before. It was my first time getting in on them, and I did not quite have a good feel for the amount of just how much harder they're going to hit on the 190s. The answer is a lot harder. Everything hits harder, even though it's easier to kite. And so I would attempt to face tank stuff when patrols got a little too tight that were proximity patrols that I needed to really hump the wall on, when I really should have just waited for the patrol all the way through, because it was about to chew my face off. Or or whatever mob I was tanking just hit too hard for me to do that. And I loaded my second save file up, did not repeat that mistake, and got squeaked out a win with it. So running 2 save files definitely helps. However, you're also doubling your prep time if you go this route. You need to understand that it's 16 hours of game time to get up to the three problem floor sets on both files. Well, in total, it's going to take you about 15, 16 hours to get 2 save files up to 170 in total for both of them. It'll only take about 7 hours if you're speedrunning it on one. But yeah, that's the Godfather boss I was talking about. His 190 version is much scarier. But overall, I'm glad I got it done, because it's been a goal I set for myself, and I don't like abandoning goals. But I don't ever see myself doing it again. And I do not encourage other people to do it.
But my solo 200 floors astrologian run.
Not happening. I don't hate myself that much yet.
Yet.
There may be a day where I just suffer drain damage and decide it's a great idea to go attempt that. That day has not happened yet. You're a frog.
You're a frog.
When did we use a witching?
We did?
We must have, because I just... Oh no, we got an altar. Okay, I thought we picked up a witching.
Okay.
Oh, that's it. Okay, one of these mobs back here dropped a chest that I didn't click on. But yeah, so while the community considers Necromancer the most prestigious of the Deep Dungeon, and I think to a degree that's true, right? It is an accomplishment. Getting Necromancer does show a degree of mastery of movement in your class, and your ability to be situationally aware of what's going on around you and the potential situations you can find yourself in, and adapting to them with minimal resource usage. All that's true. But because there's such an RNG element to it, I feel like Once and Future Queen just means more. Because it shows all of that in addition to still an RNG element, but a significantly lesser one with Once and Future. But it also shows mechanical mastery of stuff that is much more relevant to the video game as a whole. Because every single mob has lethal mechanics that will kill you in Eureka Orthos. And you have to learn every single one of them.
But necromancers all look down their noses at Once and Future Queens.
They do. The old school necromancers do. The ones that run this place on the reg do. The only one I've found of the big repeated Palace of the Dead runners that doesn't look down on other Deep Dungeon people or people that like Eureka Orthos is like Sig9. All the other ones have expressed either casual dismissal or disdain towards them because they think Eureka Orthos is just too easy compared to the other ones because it's not as much of a slog, and you will win if you do everything right in Eureka Orthos, barring just catastrophically bad luck, you will win. I mean, you could get 3 treasure rooms went back to back on the way to the exit room, including the exit room.
Well, we did.
Yeah, like that does happen. But even then, you have palms that could deal with it if you were being more palm efficient. Like you can storms that problem if you're good enough at the video game. Speaking of which, these little race on the 190 set become your best friends. These little roselets too, because the roselets, if you're not a melee class, they only use ranged attacks, but their ranged attack is really slow, like really, really slow. And like your sustaining potion has time to get you to full HP between hits, even though it hits hard.
Wow.
And while the race have the standard giant race scream, that also means they have the giant race scream. So on a floor set where you're mostly worried about auto attack damage, you got these dudes sitting here doing a 10-second cast, not punching you in the face. But yeah, I think Once and Future Queen, just in terms of skill and ability to play the game, is a much clearer indicator of how good a person is, especially at modern Final Fantasy. Because Palace of the Dead just tests you on wonky crap when it comes due to its ridiculous auto attack damage and the really just wackadoodle out of the box stuff you got to do to beat some of the bosses.
It's just the skills are not transferable to the game as a whole.
Yeah.
They are Palace of the Dead skills only.
Yeah, and there is some of it you can move in to the main game, but just not nearly as much as Eureka Orthos. And Eureka Orthos will teach you most of those anyway.
And certainly not your DPS rotation.
No, none of the deep dungeons are going to make you a good DPS player. They will get you a better handle on what abilities you have that are important and how to crank out the most damage. And it may even later be able to make you flex better in your DPS rotation, depending on how you do, on how a fight's going. But in terms of figuring out your basic rotation and building bad muscle memory, that's about all it's going to help you do. Is you're not going to be able to go into normal content and do anything that resembles a normal or good rotation, because you're going to be doing the Palace of the Dead rotation. And you're not seeing me do the Palace of the Dead rotation right now. In fact, you're not even seeing me do anything that resembles a rotation right now.
You're go around, and that's basically it.
Yeah. But the Palace of the Dead rotation does not involve saving up for any burst windows. It does not involve saving the bar at all, usually. In fact, it usually is, especially in the later floors. Oh crap, that's a mimic. How fast can I get my turpit out? And do I have any heat to instantly start blasting it in the face? Because I really, really don't want to have this thing chew on my face when I got no room to kite it. These course jerks are the patrols for the first bit of the 190s, and they are the reason the first few floors take so long, because you just can't pull them.
Oh.
They are double autoers, which is standard at this point, and would normally just be this requires steel. Except on Machinist, there's a double whammy. They can't be kited because they're immune to your bind and your slow, and their double auto attack is a gap closer.
Oh, that's just rude.
So you can try and do a sprint donut room kite, which would make them at least semi-doable. Doable in case of emergency. Oh, and their proximity aggro, just to make things even worse. But yeah, he's gonna. Yep, there he goes, butterfly float. He just goes. He'll open the fight with that, and then he'll proceed to do it about once every 15 seconds afterwards. So you just don't pull those. If you have to, you hump the wall. But yeah, you'll learn a whole lot of bad rotational habits from Palace of the Dead. Stuff like stalking meter on mobs that you don't need to blow meter for, and or frantic, and you'll shift from doing that to frantically blowing meter every opportunity you get because you're falling behind on time, are very common in Palace and in Eureka Orthos and in Heaven on High.
Putting your OCD blasts in the wrong places. You're gonna be doing that.
Oh, you're gonna desync Gosh Shot and Ricochet, at some point in your run through the floors, and there's just nothing you can do about that, and it's going to drive you nuts
Yeah.
every single time.
It's just going to happen.
Well, you can avoid it in Eureka Orthos, because by then you've got 3 charges of both. But before then,
Yeah.
you're definitely going to desync them. And it's going to drive you bananas.
Honestly, going back to lower levels, having those only at 1 or 2 charges is the thing that drives me the most crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah. I have now done it. And so I will wear the Necromancer title for probably about a week and then change it back to Once and Future Queen, because the biggest thing at the end of the day, Necromancer was only a personal goal for myself. It was not something I meant to show off to the rest of the Final Fantasy world, and Once and Future Queen is just a cooler title.
It is a pretty cool title. Are you going to go through and finish the set?
Yep, if I can. The problem right now is I don't have enough potions.
Yes.
I have not set myself up in Heaven on High as hard as I had Eureka Orthos. Well, you didn't need potions in Eureka Orthos, really, because nothing there hits for auto attack damage hard enough. And I have not taken enough attempts in Heaven on High deep enough to warrant some serious potsherd gains. So I've not been able to accrue potions. I have like 800 potions, 62 potions. How many I got for Heaven on High? But that's enough for like 3 runs, 3 serious attempts. I need a solid stockpile of about 1,200 before I can be making it deep enough in, comfortably enough that I won't feel the need to save potions and can cash in whatever potsherds I get once I get really deep to try and break even. The good news with Palace, though, is these early floors are so relatively easy that you will go potsherd positive all the way until about floor 160. Once you've got a handle on what you're doing, you will easily go potsherd positive. So you do not have to worry about sustaining potions, especially with the sustaining potion 30-second duration buff. So yeah. In general, it is something that I feel should be attempted by some people if they enjoy challenging solo content. But even for people like that, I hesitate to recommend they go for it or set it as a personal goal. Going for Necromancer, just because of how much time it takes every attempt.
Yeah, that's the real kicker. Like it's a massive amount of time, and you are not necessarily the one in control over your own success all the time.
Yeah,
like,
and
compared to Orthos, I think that it's just a really bad investment of time. Like you can feel yourself making positive progress through Orthos, and the odds of you getting screwed by raw RNG are quite low.
Yeah.
But in Palace of the Dead, you're going to have to dump a colossal amount of time in, and you might get nothing out of it.
Yeah, and furthermore, this took me 2 years, 2.5 years about, as an ongoing in the background project for 2.5 years. I've worked on trying to get Necromancer, and it takes many runs, many failed runs, because in addition to the raw amount of time it takes, there are just more floors on this place and more mobs that are just FU mobs, where things just can go bad. And you've got to know exactly how they move, patrol, and what they can do if they're pulled, and whether or not you have an out for them. And it's not like Eureka Orthos, where you can learn their mechanics as you go through. This is stuff you have to read and do book learning on ahead of time. And it's not something as simple as watching a video either. The responses are not as simple as dodge the AoE or line of sight the thing, or don't be in range of the chest speed on the Harambe's. The solutions are more like, you can get away with kiting this one in a donut room with a sustaining potion and a hyper potion. If you have wildfire up in exactly 50 turpid meter, you might live. That's the kind of retarded stuff we're talking about. That you have to know ahead of time. This is not some simple, it's going to blow up and do an untelegraphed AoE. There are full convoluted messes of responses you can have to all the goobers here that just cause problems. And you can survive after you learn them, but they require practice, knowledge of your class, and reading it ahead of time. And this is just not something that is feasible for a lot of people. This is not something that is in a whole lot of people's skill set because it's so outside the norm of the game to have to learn how to do that I could totally 100% understand why you wouldn't want to go for this. And why I don't encourage it at a general level whatsoever. But if the RNG factor doesn't turn you off, Palace can.
Enjoy.
Yeah. If the RNG doesn't turn you off, and the later floor sets don't turn you off from just how focus intensive, especially the last 30 floors are, you could probably you might have some fun with it. It all depends really on how big of a burden are the first 160 floors to you. Like if
It all
you
depends on just how intense is your case of TISM.
like if you can find a good podcast or a good audiobook or some nice YouTube video or an anime that you've really been wanting to watch and put it on the other monitor for the first 150 floors or so, yeah, then you're probably okay. If that's something you like to do on the reg and you just need a video game to pass the time with your hands, Palace is great for that. Palace will fit the role just fine. This is why I can do a podcast and do Palace of the Dead at the same time. It requires absolutely zero thought, except for the floor 100 boss where I actually have to aim resolution attacks. So yeah, if that sounds fine to you, sure, you can make the attempt at Necromancer. But honestly, Once a Future Queen's a better title anyway. Once a Future Queen's more fun to get and feels more rewarding when you beat Excalibur at the end. Like, that's a fun fight to learn to do solo. Getting there with 10 minutes.
The one immediately before it is not fun at all. It's in fact like having nails pounded into your dick.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah,
I don't like that fight at all.
What's the title out of Heaven on High, by the way?
Lone Hero.
Okay.
It's very generic.
It is fairly generic, yeah.
So I'll give it about a week or two, and I will be taking my Necromancer title off for Once and Future Queen again. And the hardcore Finns of the world can cry about how it's not as cool or not as prestigious as Necromancer. Once and Future Queen just sounds better. It's cooler. And I honestly feel like, even though I was able to do it in about 2 months of dedicated work, of just all my free time going into Eureka Orthos, I feel like I accomplished more with Eureka Orthos than I did Palace of the Dead, even though Palace of the Dead took me 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because a lot of Palace of the Dead was just finding chunks of time where I could dedicate to going for a climb, and then getting the RNG I needed to keep the climb going. And if those things,
I've never done either of them solo, but I mean I did Palace of the Dead with you as high as level 198, so I know what it's like down there. And I've done Orthos all the way through with you a couple of times. I haven't gotten all of the 4 that I need yet, but
still got to do a few more to get the
y'all
sparkle mount.
Right, y'all still need your kitty.
I felt a lot more engaged with the content in Orthos. Honestly, I had the same sort of feeling doing level 180 plus of Palace of the Dead that I have when I'm pulling the gacha, which is a sort of vague sense of dread. Like it was not. I did not feel like I was like directly locking horns with the content in a meaningful way, like I did in Orthos.
Yeah.
Because like when I screwed up in Orthos, provided I wasn't enduring a lag spike, I knew it was my fault for goofing. Whereas every time we got to do a new unreasonable room, I would just feel like it wasn't fair in Palace of the Dead.
Yeah, and I made you watch the Sig9 video before we went in, so you got to see every time he brought up, this is just going to kill you. Don't pull this. Like, Flood Dragons and Zoos are my particular bugbear, because before I could get to Behemoth, they were my wall. And, you got, what else? Wamoras, Not Remora Campus are fine. The floating patrols on the 180s, you can kill those. Those are fairly safe, relatively speaking. But the baby Remoras just they will slow your action speed to such a degree for 30 seconds that you can't do anything. So don't pull these. Funnily enough, the 190 dragons are the opposite of the 180 dragons in that they are the safest mobs to kill, aside from the race. Because number one, they're undead, so they can be hit by resolution. They are immune to the stun, so they will whack you at least once. But you can kill them in 3 resolution hits. And their only mechanics if you don't have resolution are a simple conal look away, which will one-shot you if it hits you, but just look away from it. And a breath attack that we've seen 800 times.
Which is don't stand in the fire.
Both of which occupy their time, so they're not punching you in the face. So, yeah, dragons are very safe to pull. But yeah, I do agree that all the content in Eureka Orthos requires you to actively engage with it, figure out what it does, and play with it and the mobs around it much more interestingly than the stuff in Palette.
Wait, was I supposed to pick up some kind of quest before we did this?
No. Well,
No.
Okay.
maybe.
As long as you've unlocked the Mog Tome, you should be okay.
I don't know if you talked to the
No, I
Moogle.
haven't.
Maybe it still counts.
Nobody said anything about it.
I forgot you had to talk to the Moogle to turn on the stupid companion. It's the thing I was talking about last week when I was looking for it in my UI and I couldn't find it.
Nobody said anything to me whatsoever about it.
That's okay.
Oh, we'll find out. This event's going to go for a few weeks anyway, so worst case, we can always just come back and do it again.
Yeah, we need Time War artifacts anyway.
Yep.
I got 1 so far.
I don't think I've got any.
Yeah,
That's
you got
about
like
right.
9 the other day.
Well, yes, doing 180 floors twice will do that. Okay, make a boss disappear.
Oh, you're just gonna blast him?
Well, I'll shift, but first I'm going to blow all my cooldowns and then I will shift. Oh, they're going for you, Fern, and you're way off in Narnia.
Yep, I'll just bring them over here. It's fine.
Oh boy.
Because we don't have an actual tank, so they just kind of went wherever.
Well, if I can't exactly tank them with Machinist either, because if I'm gonna switch to Karibu right away, then they're gonna kind of go where they're gonna go.
They're just gonna do whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
On darkness. Oh, that's a Doom.
Singing the Doom song.
Yeah, it used to be, before Endwalker, this fight was actually even easier. Because you would do enough damage to Obdalord from the resolution that with Strength on, you could just kill him. And you only need 1 Strength and 1 resolution to do him with a sustaining potion and a defensive cooldown. But they nerfed it so that he doesn't take as much damage from the Karibu anymore, so you have to pop out to actually do.
Aw. There we go. Google treasure trove objective accomplished.
Yeah, I
Oh.
didn't
Do
get
the-
anything.
Oh, we'll go get you the thing and see if it counts. If it doesn't count, we'll just do it again next week.
Yep.
It's literally just go talk to the itinerant Moogle in Gridania or anywhere. There's
Alright.
an artifact.
Yeah, you got an artifact? I'm not up to artifacts yet on anything.
Floor 100 gonna give me anything? Yes, I got 1 from floor 100.
Isn't it a guaranteed
Yeah.
artifact for floor 100?
No, no, it is not.
Yeah, I've been down to floor 100 more than enough times to know that it's not at this point.
I got them
Oh.
very consistently after about floor 140.
Oh no.
But that's pretty deep down in there. So yeah.
One pot shot for that whole thing.
I got 2.
Got 2 as well. I would give you some of mine. I just traded in 20 of them that I had sitting in my bags for music scrolls. I now
Yeah, I'm
have
not too worried. Like the only things I actually need for pot cards at this point is sustaining potions.
yeah, you cannot start your climb until you've got about, I think I probably went through 500 sustaining potions, but I was over sustaining. I was popping them again right as their cooldown was up, but their duration was still going in multiple boss fights, just to be extra
Yep.
safe. So I was really over potting. But I would say having a 500 as a buffer, just in case things go catastrophically wrong before your first attempt, is about where you need to be.
That was an outrageously disappointing set of sacks.
Oh, yeah, these are the
It
baby
was.
sacks. The best you can hope for is a bit of dye.
Yeah. Although admittedly those guys do sell pretty well.
Only if you get black.
Not JPEG.
Black or white, yeah.
Yeah, but those are stupidly rare. You're usually going to get like dark green or something from these sacks. That's about the best you can hope for. The baby sacks.
Yeah.
Gajillion wind up eaters.
Yeah. Or Palace of the Dead cubes. Yeah, you don't.
But even the replica elegant stuff, it's like easier to actually go to Coils of Bahamut and just go get what you want.
Yeah. I'm trying to sell a bunch of it. I sold my Nightmare Pegasus whistle. I did get a Nightmare Pegasus. But and it sold almost immediately for like 10 million. Whoops. So yeah. Vol, go to Gridania. I meant to go to Gridania, but went to the Goblet on muscle memory.
They both start with G.
All right. While we're doing all this, then I suppose we should really tangent into the only bit of news this week.
Yeah. So
I
we
mean,
may have
on
to
the other side,
we may have to reset that save file and start taking Vol through again.
aside from the Final Fantasy stuff this week, the only other real bit of notice
It
is
just gave me the reward.
Okay.
oh, nice.
So it was retroactive?
Yep, I guess it's tracking it regardless.
Okay, good.
Which is something that I like that Star Rail does with its weekly goals that Genshin doesn't do. If that, you know how there's gaps between the weeklies
Mm-hmm.
when there's going to be a patch, it doesn't track what you do in the gap for Genshin, but it does in Star Rail, and it drives me wild.
Yeah. All right. Wow, there is really nothing on this tombstone, is there?
Yeah, it's kind of a janky tome. That's why I've been getting maps.
Why is late Allegan armor on here? That is so easy to go and get. If you just go do what 2 crystal conflicts and 2 victories will get you that.
Yeah, it's like nothing. Nobody cares about that. All the cards aside from the Innocence card are fairly easy, I think. The 9S card, if you for some reason don't have it from the Alliance raid yet.
So I think it's got a really high drop rate, that one.
Yeah, I think the Petite Pteranodon required a little bit of farming to get. And the Behemoth there might be locked behind him, and that's it. The standard linears and Kamuis, if you haven't farmed them yet, and the random reputation mount. The Cheerful Checkered Parasol used to be worth a little bit, and still kind of is if you don't have it. Get it off the checklist, I guess, since it's a collectible. The Sky Builders, obligatory Sky Builder script mount. This one's Harambe, so you can get Harambe for 50. I am so mad that the Gabriel A identification key is on here.
Yes.
Why?
Because it used to be one of my moneymakers.
Oh.
I actually sent someone off to buy it the other day.
Yeah, so
man on it, told him, yeah, you can go buy it.
The Gabriel Alpha identification key comes from the Southern Front lockboxes, and the way I would farm them is I would just do the fight against Gabriel, where you get 100 lockboxes if you do it. And so you had a fairly good chance of pulling one, and could just go sell it. for like about $1.5 million. Whenever I got low on cash, I could reliably do that fight so well that I would just go knock that out just to get a bit of cash. Can't do that anymore because this thing's going to be tanked in the market for months, probably over a year, with how easy it is to get tomes for this event.
Yeah, I might as well get the goldfish.
I would
That's
get
about
I
all
would
I
get
really
the Domikid minion as well because you need to. The only other way to get him is through fishing water exploration ventures on your retainer, the 18-hour ones.
With terrible RNG on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a pain in the butt to get.
Yeah, so I just got Mr. Fishy. But everything else I've either already got or don't particularly want. So I'm going to be spending homestones on treasure maps, I guess.
Treasure maps or MGP. That's really all you can dump it on.
Or MGP, yeah.
I mean, 50,000 MGP is nothing to sneeze at.
Mm.
I could buy 200,000 MGP right now if I wanted to.
Seriously, Castra Meridianum?
Yeah, enjoy. It's terrible.
I guess they've got to keep people in that queue somehow.
Yeah.
Because I expect that we're probably approaching the absolute nadir of number of people willing to run main scenario roulette at the moment.
I would wager yes, that is probably true. Fine, I will use the 2 MGP. I will use 2 MGP cards and get 4 more maps, my tomes, and just shove them in the Jugbo saddlebag.
There you go. All right, so we have only really 2 bits of news this week. The first is Ubisoft being racist, so we'll ignore that. So
I missed
the other
this one.
It's they're doing the new Assassin's Creed in Japan, and they've gone with the only black American or black African not samurai.
Oh, the one that
Autumn.
you.
The
What's
one
his
who
name?
it's like Yasuke. He carried Nobunaga's crap around, and Nobunaga kept him around because he thought black skin was funny. And,
That's basically his story. Yeah, he hung around for a year and then went home.
No, that's not what happened. What happened was that given the first opportunity he was given by an enemy, like one of Akechi Mitsuhide's retainers approached him during a battle and said, "Just hand over the sword," and he did. He didn't even try and fight.
Yeah, just take it. I don't like this guy.
And then he was enslaved by them immediately.
Yeah.
Like
No,
he was basically the opposite of how he's going to be portrayed in Assassin's Creed. He was a lowly weapon bearer who immediately betrayed his master the first chance he got.
Yeah, he had really no loyalty to Nobunaga at all. So it was like, nah, they've portrayed him as the honorable samurai and all of that, which he wasn't.
Yeah, it's like you have managed to create an assassin character who is totally incapable of blending in with a crowd.
I mean, it's not their first.
Well, I mean, I don't think that that's true. I think all of them were at least like they could look like a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there's somebody has been killed. Who is going to get pointed out first? The person who is the most distinctive in the crowd, which is going to be the one hulking black guy.
The guy who
everybody else is Japanese.
Everyone else, yes. But
it's conceptually as retarded as it could possibly be.
Yeah, but Assassin's Creed has not really been a game about assassins for quite some time.
Well,
they call themselves assassins, but they're really
they
bad
spent
at it.
a huge amount of effort on acting like they were interested in historical accuracy, and part of the way they brought that out was that they never tampered directly with history by having the main character be a real person.
Yeah,
and they've made their first exception,
and it's possibly the worst exception they could have made.
Not only is the exception terrible, but they are not attempting to do anything even remotely connected with history with him. They are just using the name for some bizarre reason and making him black because obviously they are you know, the melanin supremacy school, I guess.
So naturally, of course, everyone's upset about it for various reasons, and especially the Japanese, because hey, they were expecting to see someone cool or someone
No,
who
that-
is
like,
historically significant be in the
white
game.
people think they know what racism looks like, but
Yeah,
they're about to find out what it looks like when the rest of the world is upset at some racial crap that you've done in their content. Because the Japanese are highly unamused that Ubi has made a game about some hulking black traitor running around slaughtering Japanese people.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an absolute dumpster fire, and well, what more is there to say about it? It's Ubisoft at this point, and frankly, I will never give Ubi any money ever again.
I mean, they're incapable of making games. Like, they're completely creatively bankrupt. The
The last
only thing that
really-
they do is stamp out the same game over and over again.
Yeah, the last really good game I think they actually made was Rayman Legends, and that was it.
That was a very
That was-
long time ago.
That was a very long time ago. That was also the last Ubisoft game I actually paid for.
Didn't that also have involvement by companies that were not directly under the Ubisoft umbrella as for most of the development?
Probably.
I don't know. Rayman's one of their main brands, or at least it was.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they seem to have more or less abandoned Rayman in favor of the Rabbids.
I think they've more or less abandoned the Rabbids too, in favor of nothing.
Just Dance.
The Rabbids happened after. They kind of were like. They came too late for me to pay attention to them because they were aimed at kids when I wasn't a kid anymore. But I see them crop up and I'm always like, oh, right, those were a thing.
A very annoying thing.
I actually stopped buying Ubisoft games after the first time they made me install Uplay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
that
won't.
was about the time I started tapping out of Ubisoft games when Uplay became a thing. Especially considering it ate my copy of Settlers 7. Anyway, so yeah, Ubisoft. Don't buy Ubisoft games. They're doing everything they possibly can to drive their customers away, I swear. Especially with their whole non-ownership policy of their games.
Oh, right, there's a surprise in the Guildhouse basement.
boy.
Ominous. I'm going to beat this guy at Triple Triad a little bit.
I think you only got to beat him once.
I'm pretty sure that I can't beat anybody at Triple Triad.
You need 2 decks. One where your cards have very high numbers, and one where your cards have very low numbers. And you're fine after that. Everything else can come afterwards.
What?
What?
You installed that in our basement?
Yes. Well, I had Avo pay for it, but yes. I
Uh,
had him install it.
Oh, there we go. It's only 1 victory you need. So that's more tombstones done for me. Right. Let's see what abomination you've done here.
Well,
Anyway, the big news thingy this week has been the Final Fantasy live stream where they dumped a whole pile of info.
All the teaser info finally came out for all the classes.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to watch all the way through it.
There's a lot to dig through, but it's in terms of what's actually worth talking about is actually fairly simple. Why is this here? Is
Sometimes
someone drunk?
I might have had a bright idea when I was constructing my Gold Saucer Glamour. Ibu didn't have anything to buy at the Gold Saucer anymore because he had way too much free time before he had a job. So all the MGP he was getting for this event was going to waste. So I told him just to get something, either this or Gonka Greg, and dump it down here in the basement.
You've gotten Bonker Greg.
So
No, damn it. Yeah. On the plus side, it does still give MGP.
it does. So if for some reason you happen to be in the guild house and haven't done your MGP mini game weeklies for the week, you can't just go in the basement and bonk the crystal tower.
Which incidentally I have not, so I am just going to do that while I'm here. All right, how should we go through all this? Because there's a fair bit to go through.
So I think the easiest way actually is just to use the Reddit thread I linked.
Okay.
So while it is Plebit, it's also the only bulleted list that I could find, and I am a fan of the bulleted list. Let me tell you.
Bulleted lists are very, very convenient. All right, so let's start off with tanks.
So this first bullet point is worded awkwardly, though to be fair, in the live letter it was worded awkwardly. In general, let me turn into a paladin for a second. Things. Right. So under role actions, they have Rampart, which is a flat 20% damage reduction, and as a class, we have a generic 30% damage reduction in Sentinel. Sentinel at present has no bonus effects.
Yep. Or
Rampart,
Dark Knight, that would be Shadow Wall. Something.
Yeah. Rampart is getting upgraded to something, we don't know, and all of the 30% damage reduction cooldowns that exist are getting something that we don't know yet. But basically, the reason for this
Warrior's already got one.
Yeah, that's why. That's why.
Yeah, bring it all up in line with the one with the Warrior got.
Yeah, because Warrior's thing is just their 30% is just better because it has a bonus effect on it, and so they're just bringing it up to be in line with that. We don't know if this will be the same thing for every class or if it will
homogenization cough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get as it is, you get your 30% fairly early on. Like Dark Knight is level 38. I think Paladin and Gunbreaker is roughly the same. And yeah, that's it. It's just 30%. That's it.
Yeah. So, Reprisal is. Yeah, Yoshi Peace was hinting that this was a very important change, which means it'll matter for not us, because we won't be doing Savage Rage more than likely. But Reprisal will have its duration increased to 15 seconds sometime in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay. Literally does nothing to affect the way we play. So moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. My main tank. You got Paladin. So let's go to the striking dummy to demonstrate what I mean. As we're at the guild house, we have a dummy in the yard. So, right now, Paladin is divided into spellcasting phase and melee phase. On my bar is fairly well split between the two. So, I'll just go ahead and do the opening GCDs, which are 1, 2. Now, what you will do is you will do the spellcasting opener, which is Fighter Flight, Requiescat, Glorian Blade. And normally I would weave these two in between after the Glorian Blade, but I can weave them whenever. And then you drop your swords on your enemy. And they go big hit, medium hit, medium hit. Big hit, small hit, medium hit, big hit. In terms of their damage, but it's just mash the same button. And then you just continue the combo. Okay, nothing interesting there. They're red maging us.
Yeah.
They are just making Confettiers string longer.
Are you ready for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4 combo?
Yeah, we're up to 5. We are up to 5 4s.
That is a lot of 4s.
But so we have already eclipsed the number of 4s of 4. But the other change is this one. So right now, I just got my atonement stacks. You can see there's 3 of them. This is the filler melee ability that you use when you have stacks, and it's that's what it looks like. It's really boring. And all it does is give me back a little bit of MP. They're changing that, so only the first hit looks like that, and at least the 2 subsequent hits are getting different animation. We have no idea if it will actually do anything different yet. But they are changing it so that
I don't know. I've only watched a little bit of the live letter, but I got a real the vibe I got was that they're basically not going to progress the game at all mechanically in this expansion and going to focus on the technical aspects of the game, and that once all the graphic stuff is done in the next expansion, they're going to start basically mass overhauling classes.
Yeah.
I kind of get that impression too, yeah.
They said aside from some things in fight design, they're not going to be moving the technical aspects right away at the start. Certainly not at the start of this expansion. And then Yoshi P said 8.0. But he said it in his Yoshi P way, so we have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
Probably actually 8.0, but who knows?
Yeah. Or, yeah, whatever the next expansion ends up being might be a mass overhaul for everyone.
Yeah.
But
So-
considering we've gotten, new Astro and I think sort of new Monk?
Well,
Kind of?
Monk is the hidden rework, because there seems to be one in every expansion.
Yeah.
Well, it's more that Monk gets reworked in every expansion.
Yeah.
Monk has always been kind of that loose end, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, so
Anyway,
your classes
to
that are
that.
functionally new classes we'll get to later. But continuing on with the tanks, Warrior really didn't get anything, because they did hint that they are very strongly looking at Bloodwetting, because it is just outside of a raid and super hardcore settings, it is just putting Warriors above everybody else in terms of usability.
Yeah, so it's basically bringing all the other tanks up to Warrior.
Well, they said they are considering reducing or removing the healing from Bloodwetting.
Yeah.
Well, that will basically mean Warriors are unplayable.
Yeah,
because
so
it's too powerful, but it's also it's powerful because it's the only thing Warriors have got.
Yeah, they've got to do something to do some rejiggering between its cooldowns. I do agree Bloodwetting is puts Warriors as too easy to prefer to play for solo and small group content.
Because I've been through being Warrior in the past, and there are times where the Warrior has just been a class that was non-functional.
Yeah.
It was literally didn't have a role. Because they didn't have anything at all. Like, they were a DPS class that did bad DPS and they couldn't defend themselves. Like, they need to be very careful when they come to easing back on the Warrior, because if you go too far, you'll put them right back where they were before, where they're the one tank class that is non-functional.
But yeah. Other than that, they did not confirm that's happening. They said they're looking at Bloodwetting's healing, but they did not say they're going to do anything to it. So that's not even mentioned in the bullet points here. That's just something I remember them nattering
It's
about.
saying on the points you've just getting a couple of new abilities that go off when in a release inactive.
You push in a release and you get a couple more buttons to hit. Okay.
Yep.
That's about all they're doing there.
Well, basically they're just adding a final hit once you've done your 3 fell cleaves, and they're adding a combo onto Primal Rend.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I can't imagine that either of those will do anything. They're just extra aesthetics, basically.
They do look cool in the job trailer.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a little bit disappointing if that's all it is. I mean, I understand why they wouldn't want to ladle too much more complexity on there, but it is just, oh well, and then you press the button one more time, you've just made the burst rotation a little bit longer when, it's already sort of jam-packed. They didn't say anything in the part of the segment that I watched. They didn't say anything about the 2-minute meta. And everybody's DPS rotations just got longer. So are they still going to fit in the burst window or not?
Yeah.
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you got we'll see this with a lot of classes where their rotations appear to be extending, but the 2-minute section is still there. So is this going to be rejiggerable by the players, or are they going to naturally line up with the 2-minute window, or are we going to finally just put a bullet in the 2-minute window? We won't know until later.
Yeah. So everything's out in the open. All right.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight looks like largely quality of life stuff.
Looks like they finally acknowledged the button bloat problem. Seems to be the real thing here.
Dark Knight has more buttons on my screen than any other job.
Yeah.
Is it most Dark Knight players are like autistically obsessed with having lots of buttons? Like, that's their pride point?
Buttons are fine, but there's such a thing as too many buttons.
They like having to weave like 5 cooldowns into their GCD gaps when they are doing their burst window. They seem to like that.
Yeah.
So the first quality of life we're getting is Blood Weapon and Delirium are being merged.
This is a big one
Which-
because it's right at the start point of your burst, and it's very uncomfortable to hit it no matter how you lay your buttons out on controller anyway. There's
Yeah.
no getting around having to open with a double OGCD to start the burst window. Just very uncomfortable.
I would be
It
happy to
is.
be rid of it. I would be very happy
So,
to be rid of it. I don't,
merging
I
those
don't
into
like
one-
having those two next to each other.
It's always felt wonky. It really has. So I'll be happy to see that merge. We are getting a new ability for when Living Shadow is up, which is a... Hang on, let me get Living Shadow up, because I just went and burned all my blood, which is another change. Living Shadow will no longer consume blood. So you get Living Shadow up. I'm assuming the button is going to change to the Twin Strike team attack that you get with it instead. Which looks
Poor-
kind of cool.
This poor striking dummy. He's level 60.
Which is-
He's level 61 because he looked the coolest, but he ain't doing so hot against our shadows.
He ain't doing so good.
He doesn't
So-
feel so good.
It's a little bit of just tidying up. I didn't see any particularly interesting new abilities in the action abilities for Dark Knight,
Yeah. So
aside from the
one-
Twin Strike.
one thing that's worth noting, with all classes, the buttons they are adding seem to be chains off of other actions.
Largely, yes.
A very few classes seem to be getting just new buttons unless their class got some kind of rework. Which is good for me because as a controller player, starting to run out of buttons.
Yeah.
I've kind of
Yeah.
already at an uncomfortable point with some classes where I have to get creative with button placement, and they seemed very aware of this for once.
Might as well just jump on straight onto that one because it is a pretty bit major change.
Yeah, this is something that applies to all classes, so I should probably cover it first. If I can find it. I took a picture of it. Because I squeed when I saw it, and I hope it is a thoroughly detailed change. Okay. Action change settings will be added. Basically, you'll remember me and Vol being very confused about a certain aspect of Dragoon. When you use jump on Dragoon, it used to change to Mirage Dive. I am making Yoshi P cry right now and forcing the game to do that anyway. However, if I was not making Yoshi P cry, I would have to have Mirage Dive on a separate button. They are making it so instead of changing it universally for everybody, those of us that are not super sweaty raiders can keep Mirage Jump changing into Mirage Dive, and other actions of this ilk with similar, you can only use this button after another button is used, so just make it one button.
Yeah. I'm not sure how this applies to buttons where you can start breaking that combo. Like every class has their 1, 2, 3 combo like that.
It does not.
Really?
It does not appear to work for weapon skills. Only
That's
only-
disappointing.
only abilities. However, I would not be surprised if the one weapon skill to break that trend would be Overheat.
Yeah. That would be nice.
That would be an incredible change, and also another way I'm making Yoshi P cry. Because right now, Overheat, and you cannot see it on my bars because I'm making Yoshi P cry. But
Make you cry.
Overheat and Hypercharge are two separate buttons. You are on controller, and those are two separate buttons. You want to tear your hair out. I did all of Eureka Orthos with them as two separate buttons. And then I made Yoshi P cry because I wasn't going to do that anymore. It was driving me insane. Because it's the most intuitive thing in the world to make that one button.
So yeah, having buttons shift into the next button in the sequence, especially when it's like a button you can't press out of sequence, just makes sense.
Yeah, they're doing this to things like Paladin Fighter Flight. Like, you just won't be able to use Goring Blade without Fighter Flight active because there's no situation in the game, there's not even a corner case that exists where you want to Goring Blade outside of Fighter Flight being up. So they're just making it so you have to fight or flight before Groin Blade can be used, and they're just making fight or flight turn into Groin Blade.
Yeah. I'm hoping they do it with, at the very least, just your standard 1-2-3 combos.
I expect
they
that's
have
the
in
first thing
PvP
they're doing
mode.
because they haven't just done it in PvP mode. Like everybody is familiar with it, whether they're PvP or not, because virtually every version of every NPC class has that function. Every time you have
Yes.
to occupy one of their bodies, it's already been implemented.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's really no reason not to, unless you're like super sweaty, getting the absolute min-max out of your class. All you're going to do is use those 3 buttons in the same sequence every time.
Even then, a lot of what the hardcore people are saying about it is just what I call sweat flexing, where they're just wringing their towel out over your head for no reason.
Yep. That's
There's
also
a-
gross.
There's a vivid image.
Like, they are not actually lifting any more weight than you at the gym, but they sweat harder because they push more buttons, and their towel gets sweatier.
You could do all this extra stuff, or you could just, pull off your hypercharge combo right.
Yeah, like you can, as it stands right now, do the finger gymnastics to do the alterna weaving with hypercharge being on a separate button from Heat Blast, or Heat Blast could just turn into hypercharge, and it would be way less finger gymnastics to pull that off.
I can use that one button for multiple things.
But the sweat flexors really, really like to wring their towels out over your head.
Well, for those people who really insist on being gross and sweaty, you can turn it off.
Yeah, the player choice always a good thing, because it lets people. It takes away the argument that the sweat flexors have or can try and come up with if you just let the players choose. In this instance, when it comes to playability and the actual physical controls of the game, I do not have a problem with them making it however they want, as long as they give players the choice. Because this way, the sweat flexors can whine and moan about how people don't sweat as hard as they do, but are still out DPSing them, when they have the option to play that way too.
Yes.
They so choose.
Simple inputs aren't fair.
Well, they can get over it. I'm not playing Charlotta as a charge character. In fact, it is objectively worse to play Charlotta as a charge character. The best Charlotta in the world mocks people that play her as a charge character and don't use simple inputs. he goes out of his way to bag on the Sweat Lords that play her as a proper charge character. Like, do you just not like having instant access while moving forward to your dash? Are you retarded?
It's fun. All right. Anyway, we're getting bogged down. Gunbreaker. I don't know a whole lot about Gunbreaker, but
This is a total cluster F with Gunbreaker, because it's adding like a whole new 3-step combo that comes up.
Gunbreakers love that stuff.
Yeah, this is
It's like their favorite thing.
Yeah, I play Paladin for usability in small group content. Gunbreaker, I know the buttons to push, but I cannot tell you what the heck they do. Like, I know they got a dot, I know where their OGCDs are, I know where the damage buff is, I know where the mitt buttons are, and I can do the rotation pretty consistently against a target dummy. Don't ask me to do it in live play, because there's just too much going on there. But adding a whole new 3-step combo in the middle of that mess is just it would make me tear my hair out. There's already so much going on.
Character's not wearing pants for some reason.
Why is your character not wearing pants?
I must have changed pants at some point, and therefore they are not part of my glamour. I mean, not glamour, gear set. Come
I
on,
can't
put some pants on.
actually. Oh, I'm below level 60 on my monk, so I'm actually flubbing my combos because I keep missing. So anyway, we'll come back to that in a moment.
So yeah,
This is where I really hope that system plays out, because it's adding a new 1-2-3 combo onto Gunbreaker after you use Bloodfest.
Yeah, what even is Bloodfest?
I don't know. I don't know where that is on my bar. It's load your gun. It's load your gun.
Oh, okay. It's get you free stuff. Oh man, that's gonna totally screw with my bar layout.
Yeah. So hopefully those 3 combos will just replace your standard 1-2-3 combo.
No, it's sounding like this is a one-off combo you do during the burst window.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like that. It do be like that this time. Gunbreakers love this
it
crap
could
though. Gunbreakers love how busy their class is for a tank. It puts Dark Knight to shame with how many buttons it has to push in throughout the entire minute of its burst windows.
Like
Uh,
Dark Knight has a lot of buttons, but it's also fairly slow.
Dark Knight pushes a lot of buttons in a 20-second window every minute.
Every minute, yeah.
Gunbreaker presses only slightly less buttons than that throughout the entire full looping minute of their rotation.
All right.
So-
Let's see. We got a new action that can be used after Fated Circle.
Yeah, so Fated Circle's getting a continuation follow-up. I'm surprised it took them this long to do it, to be honest.
Yeah, it always felt kind of weird that they didn't have one. And like this, when I realized that, it was the same sort of feeling I had when I'm in an AOE situation on my Scholar and I'm using Energy Drain on one target.
Yeah.
It's
So
like, well, it'd be nice if I had an AOE ability for this AOE situation, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and Sonic Break
Could
is
be.
getting the Goring Blade treatment, where it's another big once a minute button. This one's a dot instead of just all up front damage like Paladin says. But they're just having No Mercy turn into it because there's no
Which one is
there's not a
Sonic Break again?
it's a 1 minute cooldown weapon skill that puts a dot on the target. 30 seconds.
Oh right. What about Bowshock?
Bowshock does not appear to be getting the same treatment because there are corner cases where AoE on an OGCD is usable outside the burst window. But there
It's
are
handy
Because
just to have that.
because they basically sit in the same place on my bar, except
Yeah.
on a different modifier. And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess technically you can stack them, but
when I go into my
they're
burst
parallel
window,
abilities.
it's after I've got my cartridges, I go 1, 2, No Mercy, Bowshock, Sonic Break, OGCD, Dash, Gnashing Fang combo, and then at the end of the Gnashing Fang combo, double down. And that's how I do the burst window. You can move the double down wherever you want in that window, as long as you fit it in before the No Mercy. But so they're just making it so that you basically have one less button to push because No Mercy, or one less button on the bar to be occupied because No Mercy is. Because there is no case, not even a corner case, where you want to push it. Where Sonic Break is not when you're not in No Mercy. You only push it when No Mercy's up.
I solved the problem by never playing Gunbreaker.
Yeah,
That's a good way to solve the problem.
All right, and moving on to the melee DPS. Your boy Yoshi P hinted again that the generic melee DPS change with the roll actions was important and that Second Wind is getting an upgrade in the 90s.
Yeah, like 2 expansions too late for that, Yoshi P. That should have happened years ago.
But here's another big one he hinted at was going to be a big deal. Feint is increasing to 15 seconds in the 90s. He made this out like it was a really big deal when he brought it up. I just like...
Yeah.
Well, and maybe he's got some way of making it a really big deal.
I mean, Feint's a useful button, but it's
You
not
don't
a
know
particularly
what crazy-
interesting button.
Like, I'm sure
You know
your
what crazy
ultimate
crap
team...
he's going to stick on a boss.
Like, I'm sure his ultimate team is putting together some carefully crafted damage numbers on their boss where you absolutely have to rotate the party mitts in such a way that the increased healing on Second Wind and the duration on Feint is totally going to make everything just doable just by the skin of your teeth.
I think he's just trying to get excited about something that is just not at all exciting.
But we are not that part of that player group, so we do not give a crap.
Do you
Okay.
use the full job gauge for Monk Aristeel or the simplified?
The full one, and I have found a way to squishify it.
Have you found a way to get rid of the weird box?
With Reshade?
Yeah.
Yes, and it was retarded. I do not remember how I did it. I would have to ask Ibu because I had to have him. I had to have him do it. Basically, I gave up.
So, our resident monkeys are no longer going to be a buff maintenance typey class.
Honestly,
Instead, it's going to go.
I don't
1,
like
2,
looking at buff bars, so I'm fine with that.
I'm fine because I keep forgetting what my the timers on the buffs are anyway. It's usually like you do rotation A, then rotation B, then rotation A again.
So that's where I've got my UI. I accidentally loaded up Hotbar 2 twice there, but that's where I've got the UI stuck for Monk.
It's not a positioning problem. I don't care about the position. I have every job gauge in the same location. The problem is the box. The box bothers me, so I just never switch to Monk.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for Monk, you have to be a special kind of person currently to play Monk.
I mean, I like a lot about the aesthetics for Monk. I just don't like how it plays.
Yeah.
It is fun to kick things in the face.
I
But
cannot tell you
Yeah.
what the heck is going on here with Monk, because I always forget how the heck this class works.
Yeah, it takes me about 3 minutes after I switch away from the class. I've completely forgotten everything I ever knew about how to play it.
yeah. So hopefully, with that change, it's just going to be like press the shiny button.
Yeah, because right now, which buttons maintain buffs and which things apply dots on targets and which things give you the buff to damage, increase the damage of boot shine, like, yeah, the monks that play it nonstop, I'm sure, love this crap. If you're not a monk main, though, all of this is like impenetrable gobbledygook to you. Like, you
these days they think that it's ridiculously oversimplified, cringy casual bullcrap. That's what they think of the current version, according to a lot of the monks that I've talked to. So they yearn for the days where they had to maintain Grease Lightning.
yeah, about that. You know, I can respect people that want to play a complicated class and show expression within that class and demonstrate mastery of that class. But here's the deal.
The title says that.
Yeah, here's the deal with that. If I don't understand your class because it's so pants on head retarded, I don't care.
Like,
I would love to.
hopefully,
I would love to care about your class, but as it is right now, it just doesn't gel very well, especially with both the buffs and the debuffs needing to be watched for it the whole time. I think the where they're going with it, where they're making it still free flowing, but with each button giving you charges that buff other buttons, is more interesting in a way. And that
yeah, it kind of builds on the whole combo idea that the monk and the pugilist were built on originally.
Yeah, it lets you freeform yourself a bit more in boss fights. I don't know how they're going to balance the potencies and distribute them across these things, but one can presume there will be optimal ways you can totally autism your way out in the spreadsheets to figure out how to min-max in every boss. And y'all, you monks are going to have a blast with that. I'm positive, because I'm still not going to play it. But
I might, maybe.
But
it all depends on how big the changes end up being.
Y'all are crazy.
I like I said, it is fun to kick something in the face. I do like the aesthetic of Monk. I just don't like how it plays.
But yeah, it's I think
it looks like in the new version they're basically going to put a map on the screen to explain to you what you need to press.
It's kind of what's needed.
Yeah, like
so that's one big change, is they're simplifying that, and they're also letting you accumulate chakra while Brotherhood is active. So,
yeah, this is another running trend. Any class that has a ability to freely generate a resource with just a button push is being allowed to either overcap that resource without fairly safely and it not going to waste, or the button, in the case of like barrel stabilizer or any other give me 50 juice button on a class, is being changed so it no longer gives 50 juice and instead just allows access instantly to the whatever you need 50 juice for free.
So you don't overcap with the
right. It lets you open and put that freebie token on cooldown right away at the start of a fight, instead of having to dump a whole rotation first if you pre-juice during like an alliance raid pull, or you're off in deep dungeon and you built up meter going into the boss. Like this is
does also. I do love how it lets you potentially throw 3 wildfire combos in a row.
Yeah, and well, it does. It literally does. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
is if you pre-juiced an alliance raid, you can go crazy.
if you have that extended burst window, then yeah, you could just open up.
Well, you'll only get one wildfire in it, but you'll get 3 hypercharge combos.
You get 3 hypercharge combos.
Yeah, that's literally what that kind of change is for. And they're
Yeah.
they're doing that, and they're doing the whole lot of shenanigans to stop overcapping. So that's where we get changes like the Monk's Chakra and Machinist again with the drill charges coming. Just
To
just
that end, Pointy Stickman also got a bit of that treatment.
oh,
Life of the Dragon now no longer requires gauge.
they are the class that was most worried about the upcoming changes and are simultaneously the one I've seen the most crying by, and the ones that are most
my
reasonable
goodness.
about their changes.
It's been, and I've seen nothing but moaning and gnashing of teeth. My goodness.
Yeah, they literally don't know how it works yet. But some of them are like, oh, it could have been a lot worse. And then the other half of them are just totally, they've lost their minds. I don't know what they
Yeah.
expected when they heard the word a rework is coming, but they are not happy with it.
Well, the thing is that
Oh,
the,
no.
the rework got cancelled, more or less. So basically, every conceivable option is in the wild at once right now. Like, you've got a situation where there are people who think that a rework is happening, and that this is a rework and that this is bad. There are people who think that the rework is not happening and that that's bad. There are people who think the rework is happening and it's good, and there are people who think a rework is not happening and it's bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think any of them are right in some, but
Yeah. On a random side note, I just hit recommended gear for Monk, and I got this. So
what are you wearing?
apparently, I am going to be spending a day working out in the fields. I guess.
As
Is
you
that
do.
what monks do? I mean-
Apparently, yes.
It's what Benedictine monks do, but I don't think it's what Far Eastern monks do.
Hey, what is that? Let's see, that's. Oh, that's why. It's because I've been so lax on Monk. My a lot of my gear is currently level 15, so when I hit recommended, I just get any old crap that's in my inventory.
Anything that
That's
has a
why.
higher item level.
Yes. So I can look really, really strange while punching things, I guess. All right.
So the big thing with Dragoon, if we still assume a good chunk of it will remain in the context of current Dragoon, is they are removing Spine Shatter Dive's damage. This means
Well,
this-
they're removing the thing is that this is one of the things I've seen people crying about that is the most reasonable. I think is that they are not just removing Spine Shadow Dive's damage. That's the thing. If they were just doing that, most people would be fine with it. The problem is that they're removing Spine Shadow Dive entirely.
Oh yeah, I thought they said they
Yeah.
were putting a no damage gap closer in there.
They are, but it's just a generic dash, even
Yes,
though
it-
it's a dragoon, and you're supposed to jump because you're a dragoon. But they took
But
the jump
no.
out.
this dragoon sticks solely to the ground and then not dead.
Yeah,
It's heresy, is what that is.
I guess they assumed that Spine Shatter Dive fits that thing, but different flavors of jump are kind of the class.
It's kind of what they do.
Yeah, so there's just no Spine Shadow Dive anymore. You close by running instead of jumping,
Yes.
like everybody else.
You go zoom.
People are quite unhappy about that because, well, jumping is what dragoon do. You take away the jump, what?
We have a very generic comment here just saying to reduce inputs during bursts, certain actions will be removed and or adjusted.
I would
That's
be perfectly happy with them doing that because I'm tired of hitting Lance Charge and Dragon Sight and Battle Litany.
All there is.
Uh,
I know the Sweaty Dragoons would veto this immediately, but there is no reason Battle Litany, Lance Charge, and Life Surge can't all be one button.
well, considering you press them all at the same time anyway.
Yeah, just tweak the potencies on all of them so they make more sense as a single cooldown for a single personal buff, and just make them all one button.
Yeah, this is burst activate button go now.
Yeah, just
Like, and I'm a bit iffy on Life Surge anyway. Like, I understand that it's different, but it's like at some point Blizzard had to get rid of Heroic Strike because it just didn't fit the class design anymore.
Yep.
so you couldn't just have on next hit. So I don't know. It feels like it's a bit out of place. But yeah, so there's basically I've got this rack of 4 cooldowns that all just have to be slapped in a burst window.
Yeah, and not to mention Dragon Sight, and the fact that you have to go and edit the macro you make for that every single time you go to a new fight, or just make a list of have a whole set of 8 different Dragon Sight macros to target each individual party member.
Yeah.
Like that's a pain in the butt.
All right.
That's-
They're also changing your positional rotation.
So Dragoons
I
have
didn't understand what they were saying.
So it sounds like during each 10-second window, as it is right now, Dragoons have the most positionals out of any melee class. And that they have
Yes.
They've got to jiggle a little to the left, jiggle a little to the right.
so they're cutting it down so there's only 1 positional per full weapon skill rotation. So you're going down to about 2 every 10 seconds instead of 4. Where you got whatever wheeling thrust or fanging claw is used, it will turn into a different follow-up that has no position.
Yeah.
Basically, it's
So
just
you'll
so-
go into wheeling thrust, and then the next one won't be Fang and Claw, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it'll be a
Right.
brand new ability that does not have a positional requirement.
It's called Drake's Bane, according to this. And I think you
So
have to
that,
be-
I'm perfectly all right with that because I was at the point where I was ignoring positionals anyway. Like I would pick this fight I'm favoring wheeling thrust, or this fight I'm favoring Fang and Claw, and just ignore the other one.
Yeah, it's it was always a pain in the booty, having to do them both.
Like I found like on the biggest reason I do that is because I'm a bad Dragoon player. But the second biggest reason I do it is because in a lot of fights it's just not worth the work.
Oh yeah, too.
Like you're going to put yourself in trouble if you try and abide by your positionals. So why bother? If you're out of charges of True North, just eat the loss because it's a bigger loss to die.
I miss the dumb little chain on Dragon's Eye though. It was such,
Yeah,
it was so stupid,
Yeah.
and I totally
was.
can get behind them getting rid of it. But I do kind of miss it now that it's gone.
Well, they only got rid of it because people would try and break it.
I
They would always think it
know.
was a fight mechanic. Like the way I always try and drag mobs out of Doton.
Oh, poor
Oh.
Dragoons.
My bars are completely unusable for Ninja, so that's mover. Ninja. Biggest
Okay.
change for Ninja is a major one, I think, and that is Houton is going to be permanently effective.
Yeah. So if I reset my
Thank the
MNT,
heavens, I hate Ninja.
Yeah,
So-
and
Like
maintaining Houton was
mindless
far
buff
worse.
maintenance is just not fun. It's never going to be fun.
okay, let's ninja it up because I play ninja in PvP. I do not play ninja in PvE for a reason.
My buttons are an absolute mess because I have not touched Ninja since I got to level 50 years ago.
You will notice
What?
I only have one of the basic buttons of the basic AoE combo on the ninja bars.
I
It
can't
is-
even remember how to get Houton.
It's yellow, red, blue.
Nope, that's Bunny of Fire.
No, that's
No,
you.
no.
Yeah, that's definitely Houton.
I actually don't have my my chakrams on the bar anymore, so I cannot get the Bunny of Fire. Ah,
But yeah, it's the one that ends in blue.
yeah. So instead of Houton being on that position now, it's just going to be an AoE attack. AoE attack.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know what this weapon is that I'm using, but it's hideous.
you must get the
How
most.
many knives are you holding?
Oh wait, are you using? Oh, you're using the baby version of mine.
Oh,
a lot of-
okay.
That's like
is
a
it-
dagger that hasn't been told ever to stop.
No, I'm pretty sure this is something entirely different.
Hang on, we can solve this mystery.
I don't know.
See,
My set is built by clicking the equip optimal button.
oh, okay. The radiant swords are just using the same skeleton of the animal weapon, but it's not the same thing. They have a slightly different paint job, and they don't have the little bladey attachments.
Okay.
And of course, they don't have the glove.
So that's basically it for Ninja, really. It's everything, all the changes. It's like Houton and then the
Well,
flow-ons from that.
The knock on from that is huge.
Mm.
Bye bye windmill. I won't miss you.
I've finally found the perfect spot on my UI for this thing when I'm cramming the weird UI elements in between the cross hotbars now. It fits so nice right there. It's like it was made for it. And I finally found a home for it right before they announced this change. Not that I would play Ninja, even though it has a home now. But look at that. I'll post it in live show chat. It fits so perfect right there.
It's so snug. That actually does look really good. But it's going to go bye-bye, so...
Yep, I'll have to stick another bar there. But yeah, Ninja... This is one we'll have to see numbers on, because Huton becoming a passive is going to radically change the whole class. And also radically affect the bars, because... like the what I always call Hurry Jin will now have basically no use.
Yeah.
And I have it on my bar because of Eureka Orthos when I was insane and trying Ninja in there for some dumb reason.
We just got the incredibly vague note that actions that mess around with Huton's duration are going to also change.
Yeah, and honestly, I would be okay with they're going to go away.
If some of them just go away, that would be perfectly fine, I think.
But unfortunately, they are married to the idea of Melee having multiple combo chains. And that means the Armor Crush combo probably ain't going anywhere, and they're going to have to find something else to do with it.
Yeah.
Because at present, Armor Crush's only purpose is to re-up Huton.
Okay.
So
let's keep on, because we've got a lot to go through.
So next we have Samurai.
Samurai with its unpronounceable ability names.
Yeah, don't worry about this one. I was experimenting with the Make Yoshi P Cry add-on on Samurai quite hard at the moment.
Right.
But basically they're changing it so this thing turns into Tsubame Gaishi immediately.
Which thing?
The thing gives you 3 stickers.
Oh.
Make Yoshi sweet.
Oh no, wait.
It's going to be so you can't arrive at Tsumami Gaishi except with using that now?
Unless I've got the names. I think I got the names wrong. Hang on. Samurai has such weeb names on everything.
Yeah. It's Maiko Shisui will be able to
if it's a Japanese game made by Japanese people primarily for Japanese people, does it still count as weeb?
I don't know. Maybe it just becomes otaku at that point. I don't know. Anywho, so yeah, they're changing how that combo works.
Our steel sword is compensating for something.
Isn't it just? I don't have a samurai sword.
It's so much longer.
Oh, it's the Manderville one, that's why.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, the Manderville's wood.
Hang on. I can fix this. Oh, that'll work. Why is this not in the glamour dresser?
What are you doing?
Hang on, I can. This will probably make it worse. I'm fixing my sword. Gotta reset enmity on the dummy first. Won't let me cast the glamour. Okay, there we go.
It's more normally sized now.
Yes. Very shiny though.
The Haidato sword.
Alright. So they're changing that.
I gotta admit, I don't understand the rotation of Samurai at all. I used to, but now it's just got, well, you got 3 stickers, and you got your bar, and you got your 3 pips, and you got your cooldowns, and your.
They did.
Looks like your sticker combo is getting upgrades.
Yeah, they said they're doing some button compression on Samurai, thankfully. Things like Shoha and Shoha 2 are just getting mushed.
That would be great.
Yeah, so hopefully they mushify quite a few things, because Samurai is one of the classes. Part of the reason I was experimenting, I don't play Samurai at all. Part of the reason I was experimenting with the Make Yoshi P Cry plugin was just because Samurai's got too many buttons to fit on the bar.
Yeah, like I don't have too much trouble fitting on the bar with Samurai, but I can't fit the buttons in a rational way. So, like, Shoha 2's just sort of stuffed in the corner because it was the only space I had left.
Yeah, and when you're on controller, especially fitting the entirety of your weapon skill chains, plus the OGCDs in sensible positions where you would normally put OGCD stuff for quick access. Good luck with that. Because there's just too many OGCD random crap now that you need access to. And mushifying some of that, making some things turn into other buttons, definitely a fan of that. Might be able to turn off the Make USP Crowd plugin. If they allow me to do that. But I've not actually played with this add-on active, I was just playing with it. So, because Samurai is just a mess. Let's see.
Yeah, I feel like they've just tried to fill every category. Like everything has a spend this resource to do this attack, and also this one does the same thing except it's on a cooldown and it's off GCD. And every type of attack has that, so it's basically got double the buttons that it needs to.
Yeah, it's like you really can just mushify some of these. Because, and I want to reiterate, I don't remember every time he brought this up, but he did mention mushifying buttons on a bunch of classes. And he was very cognizant of controller players this time around. Normally, he is not very cognizant of controller players.
I think it's probably just that. As of Endwalker, there is probably now a preponderance of complaints coming from controller players because they've just hit the critical threshold.
Yeah, and I have been one of them. That we are just running out of buttons. And I would not play this game if I had to play it traditional keyboard and mouse. The big draw to this game is the fact I can lean back in my chair when I play it.
I haven't been able to do it. I haven't been able to adapt, and the project has sort of been shelved since my sodding DualSense keeps drifting. But
oh yeah, that's another.
I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. I can't figure out a way of playing with the controller that feels sensible to me. I just can't seem to adapt. I would have to absolutely force myself. I don't know whether or not I would get there.
Yeah, I
maybe it will become a live option after the button compression happens.
Yeah, and it's waiting till the start of an expansion when everybody's got new abilities that are going to force you to rejigger your bar, or old abilities getting shuffled that are going to force you to rejigger your bar, is probably a better time to try it out. Because you're going to have to rebuild your bars.
A controller that doesn't drift.
Yeah. So speaking of, bit of a tangent. I got a DualSense Edge after Ibu finally talked me into it, and I let him purchase it first and be a guinea pig. Basically, this thing is exactly the same as a DualSense normally, except it's heftier, and it's got 2 to 4 potential extra buttons and trigger locks. So you can slide these little sliders on the back down to change how deep you want the triggers to go. So you can make them...
And it costs nearly 4 times as much.
Yeah, it's stupid expensive. However, none of that was the reason to buy this stupid thing. The reason to buy this stupid thing is, relatively speaking, the sticks for it are dirt cheap, and I'm tired of fighting with customer support and returning drifting controller.
How much are the sticks? I don't even know where you would buy a stick.
They're almost always out of stock, it seems, but when they're in stock, they're like $10 for a set of 4.
Right.
So,
and is it like easily user replaceable?
Yeah, there's literally a just get a paperclip and push the release button to lift the faceplate off, and then just pop the sticks out.
Right. Well, as things are, I'm going to have to fight with customer support.
Yeah, and it comes with 2 sets of replacement sticks in there that are different styles of sticks from the normal stick, but you can use them as a placeholder measure if the current sticks decide to give out on you.
But for some reason, they just decided they didn't want Hall effect sticks, which don't drift.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Like,
maybe somebody will make aftermarket ones that are. I don't know what part of the stick is replaceable.
Yeah.
Or maybe that you can't read Hall effect based on the stick without rejiggering the entire controller. I don't know, but I don't know why they've made these things so bad. I don't think it's planned obsolescence because they're probably losing a lot of money on warranty claims.
Yeah, it's a mess with the DualSenses. However, one benefit to the DualSense Edge that I have found, switch back to machinist here. See it clearer. On the back of these things, they advertise them with these big chunky paddles for bonus buttons on the back. Nobody really uses these on anything, even if they get a pro controller like this, because they're usually getting it for other features like the trigger locks or something. Just for kicks, they include a itty bitty little nub you can put in these buttons to make them still technically hittable, but it's very out of the way, and you have to kind of make an effort to go touch them. So I bound Sprint and Peloton on these two things, and now have 2 extra action bar slots to work with. And this is working out great. So this is the kind of the whole point of this conversation, while we're talking about class abilities, is I'm already doing stupid crap to free up spots on my action bar.
Yeah.
And that's part of that is because some classes, in addition to having their button bloat be a problem, you want duplicate buttons on the bar. If you're on controller, you want Gauss Shot and Ricochet both on the bar twice. You want them near your AoE buttons, so you don't have to do trigger flipping, and you want them near your single target rotation, because you need both of them for both. So this is where the button bloat problem happens. Now, Machinist doesn't have the button bloat problem. Machinist is one of the classes I can comfortably fit everything on the bar. I can rejigger everything here. The only thing I want them to do is let me change Hypercharge into Heat Blast just to stop finger gymnastics. But you can comfortably, sanely, and sensibly fit weapon skills where they need to go, OGCDs where they need to go, without losing any uptime or causing any issues. But there are other classes like Samurai that definitely are not like that.
Way too many buttons.
And specifically too many weapon skills that all need to be relatively close to each other to make logical sense inside your head.
Okay, let's keep going because, yeah, time is an issue.
Okay. Dancer.
Reaper.
Oh, Reaper.
You actually skipped like 3
Oh.
or 4 jobs.
I scrolled too far. I was looking at the bottom of the next set of bullet points instead of the bottom of the current set.
So yeah, Reaper. Plentiful Harvest is no longer going to.
It's getting the effect I mentioned before, where instead of instead of 50 juice, it just lets you use the thing for free.
It's getting the resource squish. Let's call it that.
No, it's because it's not a squish. It's just a freebie use of your burst.
Yeah.
It's because they don't want people to play around avoiding overcapping.
Yeah,
It's like it.
Which is what's basically happening.
Big.
Like the when there's no headroom, people force themselves to do bizarre rotations to avoid overcapping. So it ends up not feeling natural. It feels like something you've got a spreadsheet ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just tidies a lot of things up.
And
there's also a new action for when you've got Enshroud up, so that'll probably just be a follow-up for that.
which is fine. The Reaper is far from hitting button bloat problems anyway right now. I even have room for True North on the bar.
Really now?
Yeah. And Second Wind, and Bloodbath.
Really, my Reaper bars have the same amount of crap on them as my Samurai bars do.
Yeah, but they're because of the 4x4 nature of basic weapons, they have 4 basic weapon skills for single target, and 4 weapon skills that are single target but follow off of the main chain or are totally isolated from it. You can just put 1-4 on one set of face buttons and 1-4 on the D-pad for any hand or configuration you want, and it'll be fine. It'll all make logical sense. It's not like Samurai where you got the wackadoodle numbers.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So it's easier to fit there.
Range Deeps. Range Deeps also get the second wing buff.
Yeah.
Which is, thank goodness.
This will be helpful in Deep Dungeon. It'll make Behemoth a little more comfy.
It's very useful for those situations where your healer ignores you because you are range deeps.
Yeah, or you accidentally wandered off to Narnia while the rest of the group is stacked for the stack mechanic.
I mean, I do that all the time as machinist because I can just outrange a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I have been guilty of wandering off to Narnia on occasion on characters that are allowed to do it. I try not to do it, but sometimes
Yeah,
sometimes
sometimes you just do it.
I'm just really tired in an alliance raid, and I'm just trying to get my roulette done. And oh, the healer's over there, and I'm off over here in Fantasyland where there's nothing at all besides me and just barely being in range of the boss.
Yes. All right. So aside from that, Troubadour, Tactician, Shield, Samba, which is that one, are going to get a increase the damage reduction they impart.
Yeah, 10% is good mitt if you're in a raid setting. 15% pumps it up to a number where I feel like that will be feelable in small group combat.
Yeah, it's a handy thing usually to pop before the big boom phase that bosses like to crack out.
Yeah, I like to pop it on stack up markers, particularly in group and raids and small raid settings.
They've got quick enough combo cooldowns that you can usually get away with doing that.
Yeah, very handy in Deep Dungeon for any boss that has a double auto or any mob that has a hard hitting double auto. You can make it so you can guarantee one double auto survive without steal using Troubadour or Tactician. But going up to 15%, I can definitely feel that. That makes it so in small group play, it will definitely feel more impactful for all
Makes the
range
machinist
classes.
a little bit less selfish.
Yeah. But
all right.
Speaking of classes, we have the Bard, and
the Bird.
This is another one that I've seen the community bifurcated on.
I don't know what the changes are for this because I didn't get that far.
So you're buffing Doots. Used to be, or currently are, I suppose, an attack as well as a group-wide buff.
Yeah, when you press the buff button, you attack the enemy. Now they're just buffs.
Now they are just Doots.
And you can pre-doot before the pull.
Yes. But yeah, you lose the attack component of that button, which allows you to use it before the pull, which is really nice. But it also gives you lose attack.
While bards are torn on this aspect of it, about 50-50, one thing I've seen universal praise for is the redheaded stepchild of the songs. Where is it? Hang on, I gotta get in combat to remember.
I don't know which one that is.
Hang on, I gotta remember. The Wanderer's Minuet. This stupid
there
thing.
You go.
Pitch Perfect.
The one that's the damage one, right? That's
gives you charges and lets you shoot the extra arrow.
The one that's like not at all like any of the other songs because you have to interact with it directly.
Yeah, and it was particularly bad when it came to AoE situations because Pitch Perfect is single target only. So if trash happened in a dungeon or you just happened to be at a point in the boss fight where there was no ads when it was that time, or when there were ads when it was that time, Pitch Perfect just was kind of dumb to use. You had to really do some jiggering to figure out where to stick it. Now, Pitch Perfect is going to be an AoE.
Yeah.
My bow is very big.
But it's still a combat song, though, right?
Yes.
Like, as opposed to the other ones that are sort of not combat.
They're just Doots.
Let's see. Yeah. I think they all are maintaining their current effects. So Army's Paeon is still crit direct hit. Mage's Ballad is still damage increase, flat damage increase. And Wandering Minuet is crit rate, but also gives you the Pitch Perfect song access.
Yeah. Incidentally, did you see the class equipment for Bard? They have hands down the best weapon.
I don't know. It's going to be pretty hard to top this thing.
Is that the guitar thing?
It's the guitar thing. It's like you have a bow, which is pretty fancy as it is, and then they just slap a steel guitar in it.
But my giant treble clef of destruction.
It is pretty duty.
But it's not a guitar.
It's not a guitar.
It is also not a guitar. All right, Machinist. Yeah, they get the stat tidy up as we mentioned before, where Barrel Stabilizer gets just a hypercharge.
Yeah, Mech is a class I've become very attached to due to Deep Dungeon. It's gone from a class I cared nothing about to one that now holds a very special place with me, having cleared 2 Deep Dungeons with it now.
Because gun.
Yeah, charges for drill, great. That's a usability
I wonder if
thing.
that also applies to things that share its cooldown, which is
Almost
Bioblaster as well.
almost certainly not.
Boo.
I I
'Cause
I
I'd love to have a second charge of Bioblaster in a an AoE combo, or at least get another chainsaw up.
because specifically what the drill thing is trying to fix is that point in your rotation where you do your 1-2 opener to get you your next auto will be heated clean shot, and then you do chainsaw, Gauss round, ricochet, air anchor, Gauss round, ricochet, or rather, squeeze in the pseudo triple weave, reassemble air anchor, and then
Yep.
Gauss round and ricochet, squeeze in the pseudo triple weave with reassemble. You lose a bit of time on this, but it's worth it to get the drill in, and then you empty your last 2 charges of Gauss round and ricochet, and then you do your wildfire combo, and how that
Yep.
leaves. If you do that and you barrel stabilized, you then after that hit heated clean shot, and you would normally right then it would be ideal to do another hypercharge combo if you had the juice for it. But because drill's about to come off cooldown because it's only 20 seconds at the end of all that mess, you need to hit drill again instead and delay it, and it makes your heat get out of whack. The
Yeah,
reason
that
for
just tidies that up.
the reason for this change is by giving drill an extra charge, you won't have that scenario happen anymore.
Though that's actually probably going to be pushed out slightly too, because Chainsaw's getting a follow-up attack.
Yeah. So having an extra 20 seconds to play with to do all your new follow-up shenanigans and stuff like that is a big deal for the class in terms of usability, because fitting all that crap in its very busy burst window is something that kind of is part of the identity of machinist. But by giving 2 charges to drill, you don't change that busyness, but you clean it up and make it way more usable.
By the time you come back around to you doing that combo again, you'll have 1 full charge and 1 half charge anyway.
Yeah, and it just lets you immediately do another hypercharge combo immediately, or even if you get 50 meter in an awkward point in your rotation, where air anchor and chainsaw will be down fine, but drill is almost back up. You can just go ahead and do the hypercharge now, so you don't overcap on your meter, and
Yeah.
and you'll have a whole extra 20 seconds before you'll cap out on drill charges. Like, it's just to solve wacky scenarios that, as you played Machinist, I'm sure you've come into many times in every type of content like that.
Yeah, every now and again you'll run into a point where like you really need like drill is usually the go-to for it, where you want that up and it's just not.
Well, yeah. Well, the bigger problem is drill is about to be off cooldown, and if you go into hypercharge now, you're just going to be wasting cooldown time on drill.
Yeah. So you kind of pop your hypercharge combo early, or do you start a half a 1-2 combo, or what do you do?
Yeah, the answer is almost always you delay the hypercharge combo, and that feels wrong.
It does, doesn't it?
So what they're doing to address that is just give you 20 extra seconds by giving drill a second charge.
Yeah. All right. Dancer gets a new action that can be used after Flourish, and an action which consumes Esprit.
They also this is not noted in these bullet points, but one thing they did note for Dancer, they are getting an ability to instantly apply the standard stat buff to your dance partner on a very long cooldown.
Oh.
This is specifically for situations where your dance partner keels over and you have to dance partner somebody else. If they happen to keel over at a wacky spot in your rotation when standard step still got like 20 minutes or 20 seconds on its cooldown or something, you really want to get standard step buff on your new dance partner so you can keep getting E-Spirit and Feathers, or rather E-Spirit so you can keep saber dancing. But you have to wait after you apply new dance partner right now. But they're giving you a new ability to just poop that buff onto your friend, your new friend.
Yeah, you're dancing now.
After you fire your old friend because they fell over.
You're licking the floor. You failed. All right, so Dancer just gets tidy up. So they didn't. Machinist and Dancer, haven't changed a lot. They've just tidied things up significantly.
Yep.
But it has gotten some fairly big changes. All right. Magic-y boys.
Oh boy. There is one thing here. We're gonna do Summoner out of order here and do it first, because I want to point something out about Summoner with the general change here.
All right.
First change, Swift Cast. Will go to 90-second cooldown in the 90s.
Yes.
So you know what this means. Now,
Oh,
summoners.
oh.
Now summoners can swift cast both Ifrit and Garuda in their DPS rotation and still not have swift cast available to res you.
Yeah. Incidentally, there has Yoshi P was saying there has been a lot of discussion about actually leaving Resurrection on Summoner.
Yeah, it's been a thing in the community for a while. It'd be kind of even in the Japanese servers they've been talking about it because it's it's been something that is kind of awkward with the class. But
Hang on, I forgot to turn my class on.
got to what?
I forgot to turn my class on.
Oh, you forgot
Summon Carbuncle.
good old Carby.
I can't remember what you do after you summon Carbuncle.
Summon ignore Carbuncle and summon Bahamut.
Yeah, then make the dragon blow up the Tarka dummy, and then the OGCDs, and then shoot with the dragon. The other OGCDs, shoot with the dragon. Plop your last fester. Keep shooting with the dragon until the dragon runs out.
Yep.
And then pick your favorite Lego color, and then cast its charges. And you can stick Ruin 4 in there somewhere if you want, and then press the other button, and then pick your new Lego and loop.
Yep, and repeat. So the biggest change to that, aside from Swiftcast never having a resurrection unavailable, is they're adding a new Bahamut, a new Bahamut, because there's not enough incarnations of Bahamut around. This is Solar Bahamut.
Mm-hmm. I'm not actually clear on when he appears in the rotation.
The rotation goes from a standing start. It goes Solar Bahamut, Solar Bahamut, Phoenix, and repeats.
Let's see. So
I'm not sure exactly what he does. Maybe it might be some mashup between the two or something. I don't know.
He would almost certainly, if he comes first and is forced to come first, he has to fit as the main damage one.
Yeah.
Because that's where the burst window is.
Yeah, you want to have that Bahamut or the burstiest one up and ready to go. So he is a swordy boy. So presumably he's there just to get the burst window a bit more reliable, I guess, while still adding another big summon.
Yeah, well, it already is. You want Bahamut over Phoenix.
I think the real question is, why the heck is it Bahamut again?
Yeah, a lot of people were hoping for like Alexander or something fun, one of the other new primals. Maybe grab some of the Stormblood primals or something. No. You just get another Bahamut.
Yeah, new Bahamut. Like, I mean, it's cool. It's a Bahamut made of swords, but it's still a Bahamut.
Yeah, I'm honestly not a big fan of the new Bahamut.
Yeah,
I know.
Also, Searing Light, your group-wide damage buff, that one there, is also going to get a follow-up.
Think that I've ever seen anybody saying that they really like the new Bahamut. I think that the general consensus is disappointment.
Yeah, the general consensus, I think, is it's Bahamut still. Why is it Bahamut?
I know that Bahamut makes a lot of appearances in FF.
Like a lot. a lot. There's that joke in Final Fantasy VII Abridged where Barrett starts listing Bahamuts and he's there for like 15 minutes. He makes up about half of them, but even so.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, not a whole lot of change for Summoner. It's mostly just really got to see what Solar Bahamut does.
Yeah.
Though I do appreciate having a follow-up from Searing Light. So if we go Searing Light and then some big blast, it's going to make a good opener for a burst rotation. All right, Red Mage. Manification is no longer to increase. Oh, okay, it gets the stat charge as well there.
Oh, we skipped Black Mage.
Oh, we skipped Black Mage. Black Mage is the only thing you really need to know for Black Mage is you can move your ley lines.
Well,
Yeah, and there are even more hieroglyphics on the screen in order to have a job gauge.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, they are still an impenetrable mess of a class where I do not. I play.
I like Black Mage, but I'm never going to be good at Black Mage because there's too much subtlety to it. But I'm a bit impressed that they managed to overload the job gauge so much that they just had to sprout a new job gauge.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose it's kind of what Black Mage do. That way, you have 3 job gauges. You can make bigger boom. And still, even though you can move your ley lines, refuse to move.
Yeah.
Dealers enough.
Yeah. What the? If you are a Black Mage main, feel free to write us and tell us what the heck they did to your class. Because we have long since passed impenetrable mess when it comes to Black Mage.
I admire your big booms. I have no idea how you do big boom.
There was a point when I was leveling it when I had it kind of sort of figured out, but that time was a long time ago, and I've long since forgotten all of it.
Yeah, that's about right. All right. So yeah, Red Mage gets the mana, the energy convenience button.
Yeah, Manification is letting you just use your melee combo for free once.
Yep. Let's see. AoE Enchanted Swordplay combo beginning with Enchanted Millennium French will now consume a total of 50 black and 50 white. Similar to single target. So that just brings that back into line.
Yeah, this is something that's driven me nuts on Red Mage whenever I've taken it into Palace of the Dead every single time. The fact that the AoE combo uses 60 instead of
But why though?
Instead of 50.
Yeah.
Like
so just why?
Yeah, it's oh no, but they're changing it so that it'll make an even 50 after 3 uses now.
Yeah, I think it's the only job that actually does that at the moment. Like having the AoE version of their combo cost more than the single target.
Yeah. So it's that's getting fixed.
Yep.
They appear to have gotten another combo ender. It's either that or a new ability. It's hard to tell.
They call it a new finisher here.
Yeah. I'm not sure that's correct. It kind of looks like there's a blue ability flash. Like it's an OGCD and not part of their standard weapon skill combo. But it's hard to tell. Because it's the job trailer. We don't have any text to tell us what it is.
Yep. Okay. Moving on to the Greenie Boys. They also get the Swift Cast increase, so no reses for you at a faster interval.
Yeah, so the only thing that's getting the meme coverage right now from the job trailer is White Mage.
White Mage gets the zooms.
Yeah, they get a gap closer.
Yeah. Why?
So they can close gaps, doy.
But why?
Like,
sometimes when you see a gap, you just gotta close it.
Is it so you can zoom in and start spamming holy or something?
Like you shout healers adjust and you just see the White Mage turn to you and go zoom right into your face.
Zooming across the field. I mean, it's a nice change to them yoinking you across the field.
Why not do both? I'm sure there's a way you can manipulate the server tick with rescue and that dash so that you grip them like twice as far as they're supposed to go.
Or you just swap places.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be hilarious.
I don't think I want to live in a world where they can do that, actually.
Oh, that's guaranteed to get someone killed.
Oh, if they let you use
Every
this
time.
before level 80, I'm gonna murder people in Baja just for fun.
Hey, you thought you were out of the doom zone. Nope.
Like, you thought you did your math right on calculator? That's a funny way to spell you can't divide by primes.
You can't add two. So yeah, let's see. So White Mages. Oh, hang on. This is probably a combo then. So you get the gap closer. You also get a new AoE attack, which goes off 3 times after Presence of Mind.
Well, it seems to be more like an atonement style thing for Paladin, where or a Confiteor style thing for Paladin, where Presence of Mind is their big 2-minute cooldown that lets them turbo glare. So we can just go glare really, really fast. And They're actually giving you an offensive button unique to this phase now, is what that means. Which, in the grand scheme of things, just as an aesthetic thing, there's very little in terms of usability or gameplay style that's going to come out.
Go green deeps, really.
You don't want to turret harder?
I mean, it just makes the turret phase even more ridiculous, but ridiculous looking. But it does not change its functionality at all. It just means you're going to hit a different button for the first 3 casts of the turret phase.
Okay, we're nearly at the end. Scholar Seraphism, new action that changes this caster's appearance and enhances healing magic will be added. So you don't.
I don't want temperance though.
But you're getting temperance is what you're getting.
Every time they give Scholar a new thing, it's incredibly disappointing. Because they just it's going to be like dissipation or something. It's going to be.
It turns you into a fairy.
Dumb. It does turn you into a fairy.
No, it makes you sprout wings. It doesn't turn you into a fairy. And it's probably just going to be temperance, and I don't want temperance. I don't want more buffs. I want to be able to do stuff.
Hey.
The new AoE attack.
You may have had the most underwhelming visually last time in the Endwalker job trailer. But expedience is really good.
I mean, yeah, but it's not cool.
It is zoomy.
It is very.
And the only
visually...
thing that it earns you is that people will abrade you for not using it when they wanted you to use it. That's the only thing you get out of expedience.
Yeah. Don't worry. It's all the healers, well, really except for White Mage, always got something to complain about.
Yep.
And
so essentially what Seraphism is basically an oh shit button by the look of it.
At least they gave you an AoE dot.
Yes.
It does not appear to...
It's a chain stratagem, though.
Yeah, they did.
If they attach to the chain stratagem, it means you can use it once every 2 minutes.
Yeah, but that's one trash pack that'll die much faster.
Yeah, just one.
Why do they hate Scholar so much?
I don't know.
They get the short end of the stick every single freaking expansion. Why do I always manage to sign up for the class that they hate the most in every game?
So,
all right.
Speaking of classes, they don't hate Astro. They just don't know what to do with it.
I don't understand what's going on with Astrologian. It sounds like they just took away all the parts of Astrologian that are like about astrology or something.
Yeah, now you just slot in one of 2 decks into your dual disc, and you draw the entire deck like you're actually Yugi here, and just when you press the draw button, it fills up your deck with 3 primary cards and 1 secondary card. To
be fair, Yugi usually wins.
Yeah.
Yugi also usually cheats.
That's how he wins.
They just made Yugi's Heart of the Cards an actual card in the GX era. Except
now you too can cheat.
It's called Sabatiel the Philosopher's Stone, and it literally reads, pay half your life points, this card becomes any card in your deck.
Wow. That's kind of nuts.
And Jaden used it to defeat the final boss and constantly moaned about how Yugi could do it without having to use a card that cost half his life points.
Believe in the heart of the cards, Jaden. You can't do it because you're lame.
I have Crown Play on my bar.
Yeah. I don't think that's a button anymore.
What? I don't even remember what it did. It was on my bar here.
It played your Minor Arcana.
Right. What happened to that?
It's still there. It's actually a big pain point right now with Astros. In that your personal DPS is entirely dependent on whether or not you get Lord or Lady. If you get Lord...
Lady.
Yeah, if you get Lady, you're losing a lot of DPS. If you get repeated ladies, you're losing a lot of DPS. So now you just slot in a Lord or a Lady deck, and you pull from that deck. And the cards will all have unique effects again, and each of the 2 independent decks will have cards with different effects. One will be a offensive effect, one will be a defensive effect, and one will be a curative effect for the primary cards. And depending on whether you slotted the Lord or Lady deck, you will get the Lord of Crowns or the Lady of Crowns as your secondary card that you can play on the Minor Arcana button.
Additionally, Astro Signs are going bye-bye.
Oh yeah, Astrodyne got taken out behind the shed and put down.
Yep.
Thank goodness.
But
Was it a,
I just got 3 different symbols for the first time.
Was this a mercy killing?
This was putting down a criminal who had weaseled his way into the class's hot bars.
Ah.
Astrodyne, especially in Walker's Astrodyne with no cheaty draw, was the worst thing in the world about the class and the reason I stopped playing it. Because so much of the class math that went into Astro as far as damage output goes was reliant on you getting 3 different seals every single time. And if you didn't, you could waste a whole lot of resources and a whole lot of time trying to fish that Astrodyne into 3 seals. It is a blessing that thing has been taken away from us. Please never, ever bring it back.
So long, good riddance.
Yeah. So, we don't actually know what new spells we're going to get on Astro.
All we know is they are very pretty.
But most people are okay with Astrodyne being taken out behind the shed. Most people also don't know what to think of the new card system because we don't actually know what the new effects on these cards are going to be.
So, I think Astro is just largely completely up in the air at the moment. Until you get your hands on it, no one's really going to know what to make of it.
Yeah, until we know what the cards do, we don't know because that's our entire class mechanic. They just are like, yeah, we're radically changing it again.
Again.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. All right.
What else we got? Sedge. Eucrasia is going to now enhance Discrasia 2 into Eucrasian Discrasia.
Oh, yeah, they get an AoE dot too.
They get an AoE dot, basically, yeah.
Is theirs also tied to their 2-minute DPS cooldown?
No, I don't think so.
Yep.
It's not fair.
You have a buff which you apply, which you crop dust the group with heals whenever you cast a spell. So there you go, a little bit of passive healing on the side, I guess.
Yeah, Sage already has plenty of that.
Yeah, so they haven't really done much with Sage at all, really.
Yeah, Sage is not a class that I've sat and figured out. I don't really like shield healers in general, even though in most games they're better than regen and pure heal healers. I just don't jive with them very well. So I don't sit down and learn them. And yeah. The heavy offensive nature of Sage is not particularly enticing to me because it is literally healers in Final Fantasy XIV are not very interesting to play on offense.
But this has always been the complaint, really, like an ongoing complaint about Final Fantasy XIV healers is that they're ultimately kind of bland, and the better you get at them, the more bland they are.
Yeah, it is becoming good at a Final Fantasy XIV healer is minimizing the amount of interesting buttons you can push so you can glare harder. Like
yep.
That is the way of things. Astro is was a bit more interesting for pretty much all of its iterations. We'll see how the new version goes. Just because card management was a head scratcher you had to deal with in every iteration of the class at all times, regardless of whether you were in healing mode, you needed to heal for a mechanic or you needed to keep deepsin. But that gave it just enough to pay attention to, I thought, to keep it mostly interesting. We'll see what they do with the new one.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah.
This is really only a portion of the changes.
Yeah.
We don't know what the new abilities are because every class has at least a couple.
Machinists win for new abilities.
We get butt cannons.
Do you get we get the double machine gun with the rocket pack,
which looks like if I'm guessing, reading it correctly, procs off Queen's finisher.
Yeah, it's possible that may become available off of Queens, or it who knows? Maybe it could follow up with Chainsaw.
Well, there's another really that does, which is just a bigger saw.
A bigger chainsaw. I think I
Just
do
an even
remember.
bigger saw.
I think I do remember seeing something like that. But yeah, it's again some cool stuff. But other than that, can't really think of anybody else that really stood out in the job trailer.
Yeah. Like Astro was very flashy, but I have no idea what any of those abilities were doing.
Yeah, Astro gets reworked so hard every expansion that they're functionally a new class they could advertise alongside Monk every time an
Yep.
expansion gets released.
As much as I hate to say it, probably the least visually interesting one was Dark Knight.
Well, because Dark Knight's got too much stuff already.
Yeah. So everything new in there is very small and subtle.
Yeah, in fact, them losing buttons is what most people are excited about.
Yes. Just we want less buttons, please.
Please, Yoshi P, throughout Dawn Trail, do a little bit of work and experimentation with it, and then in 8.0, just go full retard in button squishification.
Yeah.
Because we do not need things like some buttons that just, like on Paladin and Dark Knight, there are just way too many mitt buttons. We don't need that many.
We do not.
I get that you gave us Bulwark back when you did the rework and made this out to be like a big deal. That button isn't on my bar.
Because, well, I mean, if bosses ever did physical damage, it might be relevant.
But Rampart is just objectively better and has the same cooldown.
Yeah.
Like, Dark Knights do not need the same magical equivalent, although that one is marginally more useful because usually the heavy hitting attacks are magic damage.
The operative word being marginal.
Marginal.
Yeah.
Why not just make them the same ability? Merge them in together, maybe?
Well, no, because they're on two separate classes. That's why.
But, no, I mean, we're referring to Dark Missionary and Reprisal, for example.
Yeah, there is no reason you couldn't cram...
Reprisal's not a class ability.
Yeah, Reprisal's on is a roll action, so that has to stay uniform.
It is a roll action. Yeah.
But there's no reason you couldn't merge Sentinel and Bulwark together and just squish those two buttons together and make Sentinel's cooldown a little bit longer.
Well, isn't that what they're going to do, most likely?
That's likely what they're going to do. But Bulwark has no reason to exist. Go to the DPS classes, things like Dragoon.
Oh, that was what I meant. It was Oblation. I don't actually have it on my spars.
Isn't that your help your buddy tank button?
Yeah, by 10%.
Okay.
Dark Knights are dark, like their souls. They don't help their friends.
Like, okay, the stupid help your buddy tank button. All of those, I get that they were Endwalker capstone abilities for Endwalker. Take them all away. Get rid of every.
They're not helpful.
I try and use them, but I never remember in time.
Like Oblation, Intervention, the equivalent. Yeah, Nascent Flat. Take them all away. We don't need them.
I don't. The reason I don't use them is because I have Shake It Off.
Yeah. Like, freaking Gunbreakers already have Aurora. They don't need to be able to Heart of Corundum their friends. Or even better, actually, back the train up. Why can Gunbreaker just apply Heart of Corundum to other people? We don't need a second button for it. Why is that not the norm? What were you... Come on, Squeenix. Your DPS classes, like Dragoon's getting the rework we get, but if we go to our stuff here, Life Surge, Lance Charge, Battle Litany, fudge with the numbers and make those all one button. There's no reason for them to be separate if you're trying to reduce button bloat. Let's see here. Honestly, you could probably get rid of Chaos Thrust.
I think that like Lance Charge is probably the single most irrelevant button that Dragoons have. It's just increase your damage by 10%. Like, what's the point? At least the other three have things that they do. Like, one is your stock standard, like Battle Litany's your stock standard group thing, right? Mm-hmm. And Dragon Sight is like, oh, well, you're buffing your buddy. And Life Surge has got an obnoxious interaction with other abilities where you have to wait until you've got Heaven's Thrust ready or whatever. Which I think is also irrelevant, but at least it heals you and stuff. Lance Charge literally does nothing except very, 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 very slightly increase your damage. That's literally the only thing it does. It's so unspeakably bland.
Yeah. The only DPS class I really feel can't afford to lose anything right now because, well, you can take away the overdrive buttons because they're bait for putting on people's bars when the corner cases for using them are so niche that that they're just not worth having. Just plan better around your turpet usage or your queen usage. So just get rid of those. But other than that, Machinist is probably the only class where every single button fits, and notably, they're the most selfish DPS and don't have anything that they didn't feel the need to cram on raid buffs on a Machinist.
Yes, well, when you are trying to be a ranged DPS who isn't selfish, do you know what you get? You get improvisation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dancer. Yeah. If Dancer is not approaching button bloat territory yet, but it is. Some of these buttons can already go.
So you're going to tell me improvisation is useful?
What I'm saying,
here to tell you improvisation isn't useful.
What I'm saying is, even though we're not at that point yet, some of these buttons can still go.
I mean, I like having Shield Samba and Curing Waltz, and I always look for opportunities to use them productively. I don't think I've ever found an opportunity to genuinely use improvisation productively.
Like, even in downtime with a boss, you are better off prepping a step.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I have actually cast improvisation just for RP purposes far more often than I have ever cast it to get the effect.
Right now, you are using improvisation, whatever, to its best effect.
Like I do it in the gold
sparkle.
I do it in the gold saucer to melt grandma's toasters.
I mean, it is doing a horrible, horrible number on my eyeballs.
It does.
I can make it worse.
Please don't. Oh God. Fine. Edge. I'm just gonna stand here and edge it up. It's fine. Oh no, my edginess does not drown it out.
No, it will not. You can edge as hard as you want to, but my big dumb elephant head will beat everything.
Bubble?
Yeah.
Incidentally, why do we need Oblation? We already have Blackest Night that can do that.
Yeah, you can already apply it.
Can't cast Blackest Night onto other people.
Yes, you can.
Can you? What does it do?
Yeah, see? Blackest Night.
What does it do if you cast it on other people?
Presumably
it lets
the same
me
thing.
get duck. Hang on.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I don't have those resources.
Absorbs your damage, so you take less damage, and I believe I generate blood for it.
I think you get the free shot if the whole shield gets depleted. I think the Dark Knight gets.
So what you're saying is you give an ability to your friends, which is basically telling them go die.
Well, go and get smacked in the face.
Hey, YS, please.
No, go stand in the fire for me.
Go stand in the fire for me. You will take less damage, and I will get a free smack.
Until you stop taking less damage, in which case you will die.
Or I could give you a bubble which just says you take slightly less damage. It's not really even worth bothering about.
I don't know, things in this game that are 10%. Like,
we discovered this when I was playing Astro and he was playing Warrior. That 10% doesn't mean 10%.
Yeah, it seems to go an awful long way.
Like, that 10% seems to be more like 50.
It's a very, very large 10%.
It is the biggest 10% of your life whenever I would cast Exaltation on him.
So yeah. Did you not honestly not know you could do that?
Oh, I don't play Dark Knight at all, ever.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, look how small my sword is.
I mean, it is impractically small.
To be fair, I didn't know either. Mine is glowier than both yours.
Yeah, but mine's mechanical.
I picked this on purpose because I thought the shape was nice.
It is a pretty cool shape. Anyway, we should wrap up because, time. We're actually going long.
Yeah, so that's the breakdown, and that's the story of Palace of the Dead this week in Necromancer.
We didn't talk about the new classes, but what's the point in trying? Because I don't really understand any of
I
it.
have no idea where to begin with those two.
We can't really make any commentary until we know more. We'll have to
I
see.
thought that the Pictomancer looked unbearably twee.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
I'm okay with that. I just don't understand it mechanically. Like,
I have no idea what it's doing.
like they can tell me all the words they want for that class until I put my hands on it. I'm not gonna understand.
I don't like the
Yeah.
aesthetics. I won't play it.
As
I'll
for
level
Viper, it's
I'll level
like,
it to 100 and then never touch it again.
yeah, the Viper is like the class gets faster the further you, or the more you fight. So basically, class go burr, and that's all I could really get from that.
Yeah, I did like the conspicuous low number of buttons for my little controller hands. We will
But-
see.
The speed,
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, well, there's no way of knowing how many button presses are associated with that.
yeah,
there was an awful lot of flashing going on, for sure.
and in Final Fantasy, there is an APM limit of weapon skill double weave.
Yes.
Well, unless you're machinist, then you intentionally clip the next weapon skill in order to recombobulate so that you drill crits. But
Yes.
that's
It's not called recombobulate, is it?
no.
No, but it may as well be.
Reassemble. I've never called it
Yeah.
reassemble. I always call it
I know you've
recombobulate.
never called it recom-
Why
even
do you
think
call it
there's-
recombobulate? Where did you even get that?
I don't know. I saw the re part. And that's as far as I cared.
Yeah. Anyway,
'Cause
yeah.
You don't reassemble a drill if you make it hit that hard. It's definitely recombobulating it. All right.
definitely recombobulate.
I think we're
I
done.
just looked it up on dictionary.com. It's not a real word.
No, it's not.
No, but I like it better, so I'm going to keep using it.
It's a not real word that keeps popping up. Anyway,
All right, folks. We are running a bit late. Y'all got anything else for us in this out?
hopefully there's time to vid this coming week.
Yeah. My next week is looking pretty busy, so glad I got my Necromancer done this week.
I have to survive. I'm not looking forward to it. It is going to be grim.
Yeah.
Me
Dang
and
it.
audits don't get along. My boss says an auditor is a person who comes in after the battle and bayonets the wounded.
That's graphically accurate.
I just prefer to think of them as actual hellspawn. Like,
Nobody likes this.
But-
like,
But
remove-
yeah, this little creature is adorable.
I mean, that's what happens when it goes through re-education in hell and has to come back. Because being an auditor is just too evil. You gotta send
At
them
least
back
there's
for
only
re-education
a chance
first.
you'll get audited. I get audited every year like clockwork because it's mandatory.
I mean,
Yeah.
Terry Pratchett made the big bads of his universe the auditors to be for a good reason.
I mean, the only reason you're going to get audited is if a possum does something shady and throws up a red flag.
So almost guaranteed then. With that happy thought, wrap up.
All right. We will see y'all next week, folks. Sayonara. Bye-bye.